The time has finally arrived. DC All In special number one touchdown this past Wednesday, and it ushered in a new era, an exciting era for DC Comics. And the most exciting thing for me is that it seems like at this moment in time, DC really means their word. Like, this really is an all in push to get DC back at the top of the mountain, a place they haven't occupied in a very long time. You would have to go back at least to the New 52's arrival to see a time at which DC was trouncing Marvel in sales. And then before that, you're talking decades. So now represents DC's best chance in the at least the last 10 years to finally be a true competitor for Marvel Comics. And you know what? They've kind of got me thinking maybe it could be possible this time.
And
Would
what
you
do you?
say you're all in?
Oh boy.
I would.
Wow.
I would
Ab-
say that.
Would you say you're absolutely all in?
I would say I am absolutely all in.
Wow.
Call. Last time I said those words, she was disappointed. Good morning, guys.
All right. Wow. Well, as you just heard, we've got a full house on deck today. We've got Kale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Tyler. Or
Hi.
you're supposed to be last.
Was
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I know. I threw me off.
sorry. I got
chip.
so used to you not being here that I forgot you were.
Damn. And there
Wow.
the chips are in.
And Marco's here, as you
Hello.
heard.
Finally.
Damn, I missed like one episode.
3. And I'm Sean. Thank you for being here. Whether you are with us live or in the future, make sure that you guys smash that like button, be subscribed
Smash.
if you are not. Jonathan Chu says, "Hey guys, love how all in you are for the fan base. Already missing the new 52 recap though." Thank you, Jonathan. Really appreciate that. Jonathan, of course, referring to our new 52 deep dive that took over the show for the month of September. Thank you for the kind words about that. But the show must go on without the new 52. And luckily for us, DC dropped a heaping helping of comic book goodness this week and promises a lot more to come. So I want to start by talking about the All In special number one. So obviously, like we said, it dropped this past Wednesday. I don't know if Marco got a chance to read it. Did you read
Yeah.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We all got a chance to read it. If you want to hear our actual like review of the book, that happened on Pals Pulls this past Thursday. We're not here to re-review it. What we are here to do is just discuss the fact that it seems to be, to me, a as much of a declaration as it is a comic book with a story that you're supposed to, read and take in. It really felt like the launching of a brand new initiative, not dissimilar from like how Rebirth number one felt or even Ultimate Invasion felt, but this just feels like a promise. There were times throughout the Omega portion of the issue that I felt like Scott was speaking through Darkseid. And he actually has all but confirmed as much in an interview that he conducted earlier this week, where he talked about, how a lot of this was inspired by the conversation surrounding comics and superheroes in general, that they're on the downswing, that superhero media is not as compelling anymore. It doesn't have us in a chokehold the way that it did in the earlier 2010s. Basically, like I guess you could say post Endgame, and the way that the conversation around superhero media has kind of shifted since then. And he talked about how this was meant to be a reinvigoration of superhero comics. Do you guys feel like that's the space that we're in? A reinvigoration of superhero comics through DC's initiative?
I don't think it felt like a reinvigoration of superhero comics. It definitely did for DC. I don't know if I could even separate that to even look at it from just a superhero comics top down, because it didn't make me excited for Marvel, you know. But it definitely did feel like a real shot in the arm. It's when, you know, Uma Thurman's character in Pulp Fiction has to get the adrenaline shot into her chest. That's kind of what it felt like.
That's exactly what I thought was this is an injection of energy, of force, especially off the heels of a lot of the events that we've been reading, things that felt flat, unplanned, and so more so than anything else, this is the it's a little caffeine boost for DC and the universe. I don't know if it's for the larger scope of comics, because I wonder then, to me that sounds like Marvel needs to respond with something and Image might need to respond. Well, to be fair, the Skybound Initiative stuff has been really good. So maybe that aside, I think it would mean that other companies would have to also uh, respond in like to something like this.
I also like broadly, especially when you put it as post Endgame reinvigoration. I don't particularly know what this will do different to separate it from other superhero media. You know,
Mm.
All In and the Absolute stuff will obviously take place in a different world and it'll be able to do different things. But as it's been presented here, it's still superhero genre comic books. I'll be, interested to see how they swing so far, to a full reinvigoration.
Like you need more from this. This is a data point for now.
Well, his comparison there is, like superhero fervor pre Avengers Endgame. You know, like you say, it's only one company that's been making, broadly speaking, and respect everywhere, it's due, the same superhero comics for 80 years. How is All In gonna reinvigorate an entire genre?
Mm.
Before I answer that, I want to say hello to Kefis. What's up, Kefis? Putting those pumpkins in the chat, getting spooky. Amin Perez, what's up? Good to see you. Michael Nadeau, Steve Matthews, my man. How you doing, man? Matthew Price. Ooh, it's good to see you, Matthew. I never get to see your name here. It's a rare treat for me. Rami Darwish, how are you? Planet 628, good to see you. Figure drawing. What's up, figure drawing? Pete Collins, always happy to see you here. Figure drawing says a rising tide and all that. Competition is good. I think that is exactly where I come down on it. I think it's not necessarily that, you know, reading this is supposed to make you excited about superheroes across the board, but what it is supposed to do is it's supposed to reinvigorate DC, get DC to be exciting, and maybe cause DC's competitors to look across the bow and go, huh, all right, they're doing some stuff. They're kind of, putting their chips, forward. And maybe we need to consider what we're doing over here.
Sure. So less this is a shot of reinvigoration, more this is something that will cause reinvigoration across the media.
I think this is a reinvigorating element for DC specifically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that, if it's the kind of success that DC wants it to be, it could cause Marvel to look at them and go, all right, lessons to be learned. I mean, just across the last week, there have been things that have come out that are like, okay, we're going to talk about it more, but like, Tyler and I certainly saw it. We were watching AEW, which is a wrestling promotion, that airs on TBS. TBS is, of course, owned by Warner Discovery. And during that show, they actually aired not a commercial, but they promoted DC All In. DC Comics was promoted during AEW's television show, which was seen by, I think, 650,000 people, somewhere in that space. So
Not nothing.
it's certainly not nothing. And the announcers, the commentators spoke about it. So if you were watching the show at that moment, not only did you see the graphic, but you heard them talking about it. And that's something that there is no Marvel equivalent to that.
Yeah, I think Taz said he was a big Swamp Thing fan, from what I remember. I know he was taken out that episode. I forgot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think that alone is a big deal and something that I think is worth looking at. Like how could Marvel, pull off a similar feat? And the other thing that tells me is that DC has a little bit of backing, because how did that come to be?
Yeah. At the very least, some kind of like vertical integration, right? Like someone said, "Hey, we own this. Oh, hey, we also own this." And if that's the case, where else now is this going to start to permeate? If they did it on wrestling, which seemingly enough has a huge crossover with comics, then where else can they find sort of the pocket that maximizes reach, but also the alignment of people who like comics?
It's just mind-boggling that we're only just getting some vertical integration. like Marvel doesn't do it. Disney doesn't do it. They have their whole streaming platform where they don't show that integration into it.
With almost an entire channel of comic book
and
based products.
And it's not like they have a show out right now that apparently has some of the highest retention rate for a Marvel TV show on Disney Plus in a long time. Oh wait, they do. But they're not promoting any kind of Agatha comics, and it's not like they came out with an Agatha comic last year. Oh wait, they did. So it just, I don't understand how. I'm happy somebody's eyes are finally opening up for what the possibility of that vertical integration could be.
Yeah, and if you pick up a DC comic this week, I don't know how this is going to play out going forward, but they've got in the back of these books, an AEW mini comic featuring Swerve Strickland, the former champion. And, that's really cool. If 650,000 people watch Dynamite this week and 1% of them decide that they want to go and buy a comic based on what they saw and heard, for the comics industry, even just 1%, that's pretty decent. I don't know what the exact number is out of 650,000, but whatever it is, it's decent enough that it's worth doing that, especially considering that this is all straight down. Like Warner Discovery owns TBS, which shows AEW, and DC Comics is under that umbrella. So that's a perfect situation. And I think that this is the kind of exposure that DC needs to seek out way more. And when I hear stuff like James Gunn is meeting with Jim Lee, who is, the head honcho essentially at DC Comics, that makes me hopeful, not for the comics to reflect the movies better, for more synergy. I could do without that. But it makes me hopeful for the idea that James Gunn is caring about the comics being lifted, not just the movie arm.
There seems to be, at least from rumors and all that, a push for the creatives to talk to the more business side and to at least show what the benefits of these things could be.
And that transparency is good, I think, to be able to say, like, to hear it from the creator, from the person who's making the art, the thing that you're consuming, and say, hey, look, this is of value to us, not only because we put time and effort into it, but also it if not for your support, we can't keep doing this. To your example, Sean, the 1%, 6,500 people, assuming those people bought at the $5.99 price point, that's 32K. That's hopefully that gets distributed into some kind of LCS. That's helpful.
Shit, that's actually a much higher percentage than I was thinking. I was like, oh, 650. If 650 people decided to go buy All In #1, that would be pretty cool for DC. And comics work not based on one purchase, but based on repeat business. So if you can take 6,500 people and they all go buy All In #1, and then a percentage of those people decide that they're going to return to an LCS and buy comics in the future, that's a massive win for this industry.
Yeah, 100%.
And what did it cost? The announcers on AEW to go and say a few words, and for them to put a little graphic in the lower thirds. I mean, you couldn't do any less and be able to get so much.
They've been doing it for Shark Week for 5 years. Like,
it's crazy. It makes me happy because I want to see comics grow, and the All In special and this whole initiative really feels like DC putting their best foot forward as an entire company.
I think so, for sure. What I, after reading the All In special too, what I'm also seeing is like the clear contrast between the universes. Also kind of gives identity to the main DC universe, which I don't think it really had for a while. It's been convoluted. It's been a little confusing. The more clear-cut effort almost to be like, hey, this is where hope lives. This is the Superman alpha world. This is where you can read some like hopeful, not happy-go-lucky stuff, but, you know, a little more lighthearted stuff. And if you don't want that, the Absolute Universe is for you. So I even think just from like a DC standpoint, it really made clear-cut distinctions about what they plan on doing for their comics.
And when you look at the cover of All In Special #1, you know, it's a slightly more diverse DC than the last time the public was exposed to the Justice League in a major way, that being, of course, the movie, in which we got Wonder Woman and we got Cyborg, and that was about it. You know, this cover has Wonder Woman on it, Zatanna, it's got Jon Stewart, it's got Starfire, which is all wonderful, but then it's also got Booster Gold. Like, who the fuck is that? Oh, let me find out. You know, it's got Martian Manhunter. Wow, he's green. You know, like it's got some different stuff going on to where if you're not plugged into DC all the time, oh, this is kind of cool. I didn't know that there were more women than Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn in DC. You know, I didn't know that there was a Black Green Lantern. I think that now when I look at this cover, it means more to me than just, you know, let's freshen things up. You know, now I'm thinking about the layperson who's coming into this without context for DC's comic world. And they're going, oh, shoot, I didn't know there was all this going on.
And assuming they pick up #1, right? The whole initiative is unlimited, right? So you're not only are you seeing the introduction of these characters from the cover, but also you're seeing the entire connectivity of the DC universe. And I think that was really good, really smart to do. Because similarly, you know, I thought when Booster Gold was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get, you know, who's the other 5 on the team, right? Because that's the expectation. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, it's a brand new initiative. I think even that felt like we were being spoken to. This is new. This is all inclusive. This is something that we're going to encompass the totality of these people, because that's also going to be something that maybe there's a pocket for you, maybe there's a pocket for you, and this upcoming title is going to be the vehicle for that.
And I think part of that too is, you know, the last time we saw something like the JLU specifically, you know, was the cartoon, and that first episode follows Green Arrow, who's very cynical about the entire exercise. But this isn't that. This is, we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We want everyone involved, and this is going to be wildly hopeful for the entire universe.
Yeah, and that's exciting. And I think when you look at the line of books that are being published right now, and DC's mission to make it sort of inclusive, I guess, to make these jumping on points for people. Think about the difference. Like, I've been thinking about this all month. Think about the difference between this and the New 52. The New 52 was able to bring in new readers because, of course, there was big promotion behind it and everything else, new and lapsed readers, big promotion behind it and stuff like that. But it also alienated a lot of people. So very quickly, if you're a long-standing DC reader, you go, wait a second, this ain't for me. This is for Johnny come lately. I'm out of here. Where's Wally? Where Wally at? And you leave. All In isn't telling you that everything that you know and love about DC is bunk. It's not telling you to say goodbye. It's not telling you to throw your comics in the trash. It's telling you that everything you love about DC is being validated right here. And if you're new and you want to jump on board, well, here's a fresh table laid out. Come to the cookout. And over there, we got some stuff on the grill. Over there, we got that well done. And that's absolute.
The kids are doing weird stuff in the bouncy houses, but we're going to let them do it. And it's cool. Y'all go hang out over there if you want.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful chorus. You get to be a DC fan through and through right now.
And again, to emphasize, the difference between this and the New 52, it's not Dan Didio saying, oh yeah, your entire history doesn't matter. What you want doesn't matter. This is Scott. This is Joshua Williamson. This is Mark Waid, and people with a deep, deep love for DC. Not saying that Didio didn't have that, but saying that your love and your history and your memories matter.
Yeah.
And I think even some of the in All In, there seemed to be, at least in the way that some of the panels were displayed, a clear, I guess, love for the legacy of DC. Like Nightwing is pretty prominent in it. Wally is going to be our Flash in it. And some of the panels where it's like big groups of people, like Tim Drake was there in a Justice League book. He is technically a Justice League member. Damian says no to the thing, but like that whole idea of legacy is still built into it instead of tossed out like it was in New 52.
And even some of the highlights of those characters, like that was that sequence of panels that you were talking about, Tyler, where they're like single words, love, loss, etc., right? And then you get into the action bits, right? And you get your magic users even. So like there's a level of acknowledgement towards the other pieces of the universe that are outside or like on the periphery of the superheroics. I popped off for not only Zatanna, but then Swamp Thing. I'm like, yo, that's me. That's for me.
Oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious. And you know what, too? We hear from a lot of people in our community who say, oh, this is my first like big upheaval. This is my first, initiative, I guess. And that's really cool too. Like that's probably been one of the biggest surprises for me since things have been blowing up for us is the amount of people that we hear from who are new to comics. Like, what are you doing here? How did you end up here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fascinating and I love it. And it feels like now's the right time to be doing something like this.
Normally when somebody would say like, oh, this is my first, big reboot or big relaunch, whatever, I think of that like James Franco Ballad of Buster Scruggs gif where he's at the hangman's noose and he says, oh, first time. But I don't feel that here. You know, it doesn't feel negative in that sense. Like there is a positivity and excitement that even like me, jaded comic book reader, is kind of feeling about this too.
It's not the hangman's noose we're all sitting around. It's the dinner table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, first time?
Yeah. You just got the invite? Cool.
Near, you got to get it, man. Near says I should have got this special last night, but didn't read Absolute Power. To be honest, I don't even think you really have to
You
read
don't.
Absolute Power to read All In Special.
Yeah,
think
I read the special first and then Absolute Power.
Yeah. I think Comics Are Dope did that too. I
Like,
just saw
really?
this video that he posted.
Why would you, Marco, do that?
I was just excited for it. I was like, wait, I want to read this, and then because I listen to review like when I'm not on an episode, you know, the one episode. I listened back to that and I heard that one, and I was like, actually, I'm more excited to read for myself the special.
Yeah, I think they oversold how tied in to Absolute Power it is. You can definitely just read all in one by itself.
So there was like a panel. It was like after the effects of Absolute Power. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
They recapped
was
the
a-
entirety of the DC universe for the past like 5 years in a double
It
face
was
spread.
it was one panel the way Marco missed one episode. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So All In Special #1 though, Near, because you said you didn't get it. You might not be able to for long because it is sold out officially. Now, of course, that means it's sold out, you know, warehouse status. Like they've sold all the stock that they produced. And it's going to second printing. I can't imagine that it will stop at a second printing, but that is a great sign for DC Comics. You know, where I shop at, they had a ton of copies. They had them, you know, standard by the rack with everything else, but then also, you know, once you go to get rung up, they had copies there as well that you could just add to your stack. You know, because they're really trying to push this thing. And that's awesome, you know. And my biggest thing for DC is to not rest at this. Keep it up. You know, they're giving out those cards, the Justice League membership cards, which are awesome. Go ahead, Tyler.
You find yours yet?
Nope.
No, damn.
Nope. And you know what? I actually did go to Midtown yesterday. I definitely did. I went to a shit. Oh, whatever. I went to one that I don't normally go to because I happen to be in the area. But I was like, you know what? I'll find my card. I'm not going to buy 4 comics here just to get another card. I'm not that much of a nutcase.
Regret it now.
It feels like when Dr. Manhattan in Rebirth like just moved or hid Alan Scott's lantern from existence, and like it caused a whole chain reaction. Somebody just hid your Justice League card, put it out of your reach.
But I mean, hey, he slid it under the desk. That's it.
That changes the trajectory of my life now. That sucks. I always wanted to be a superhero. Now I'm going to be a loser.
Yeah, I was gonna say villain.
Batman, much less too. Like you could have been Batman.
Yeah, could have been me.
Wow.
It's like why would I want to reference the Flash movie? Holy shit. Never mind. Oh God. Wow.
I saw that recently on Netflix. It said The
Why?
Flash, but it had Batman and Superman on the front of
Oh.
it. I was like, wait, what?
It should just have Batman on it. It's a Batman movie, really. Like
At best, Batman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Michael Nadeau says this just might be because I'm not jaded yet, but I'm so excited for the coming stuff. Plus, Doomsday is coming to Superman soon. No, I mean, I don't think that there's a reason not to be excited. The most jaded among us could say something like, been there, done that. And
will.
all right, sure, you know, you could say it. And would it be true? Yeah. But I don't think that invalidates the reasoning to be excited about this right now.
Yeah.
Because we know that DC needs to do something. Don't misunderstand. G.I. Joe #1 is coming. G.I. Joe #1 is coming. And that book is going to do big numbers. They're touting $250K for Absolute Batman right now. I would be shocked if G.I. Joe #1 doesn't come in around a similar number.
I'd say 300.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have New York Comic Con coming up in what, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, huge.
That is typically where Marvel likes to make some noise. And I feel like out of like the big three, Marvel's been the most quiet. So if we're talking about DC All In being that, kind of adrenaline boost for superheroes in general, maybe we can see even Marvel kind of putting their hat in the ring here.
But then to that point, I don't even know what kind of Marvel announcement would make me be like, oh, GI Joe, right. Oh, but what's this Marvel thing? Or oh, I can't wait to see what the rest of the announcements we get for All In or for Absolute are.
Let's not kill next week's main topic, gentlemen.
But before we move on, I did want to get to this one comment from Spiral Storm. I say another DC themed episode from a Marvel server. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because we hate DC. That's right.
Uh,
Silhouette, we'll be answering that question soon. We've got 83 of you hanging out with us. Thank you for that. Make sure you guys smash the like button if you haven't. Be subscribed to the channel. We are on the road to 4K. We are trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. We need everybody's hands on deck to make that happen. So hit that subscribe button. Eric Carter, what's up? Eric says, I just got into the big two this year, Indie Reader. I was over the moon excited with the All In announcement. Absolute Power event was also a ton of fun and a really good read. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Like, this is the time to give it a try. That's basically what DC is saying. They're saying, hey, give us a shot. If we disappoint you, if you don't enjoy this, okay, fine. But give us a shot. And see if you don't feel excited like you're 10 years old for comic books. And I do right now. I do feel that excitement.
And I think it benefited from the fact that Absolute Power was a fun read. Like, if this announcement had come on the back of and somehow was integrated with like Night Terrors, boo, that would have sucked.
Thing. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah. I guess I wish Absolute Power was more. It was good, but I guess I wish it felt like more of a bigger deal in the end. It ends in such a way where like, okay, it's over. And I guess it needed to be that, but now it's like, all right, that chapter of DC is just done and dusted. And it's time for All In, and don't worry about all that back there.
And it kind of felt like that from the beginning of Absolute Power. We already knew about the All In stuff coming, and they were already building hype around it. This sort of holding pattern that we've been in for the Absolute Power event and sort of, this little section of an era has kind of felt overshadowed by All In looming.
Yeah. Dark Dragon X7 says, I'm not typically a DC reader, but this new initiative is definitely getting me hyped. Yeah, there you go. I love to hear it. A lot of people saying, I saw Brian Atkins. I liked seeing DC All In be promoted on Dynamite this week. People don't get this, but there is a big cross section of people who like wrestling that also like superheroes. And I would love to do a whole fucking dissertation on why that's true, because this is something I've been thinking about for years. I won't do that here and now, but you better believe that exists. And so that's a great way to promote DC Comics. I'm so happy they did that.
Yeah, the Venn diagram's a circle. It's good versus evil on both sides.
Matthew Price says, I've never been more excited to go pick up my comics at the store. Hell yeah. And Scott Snyder talked a lot about how that was part of the goal, was to get people back in shops. Marvel and DC both have expressed the same goal this year, which is to get your ass in the stores. You want that Justice League card? You better not think you're going to get it by buying digital.
I tell you what, they almost had me going to get that card this week. And if they do a flash one, I'm probably going to be there.
Yeah.
Got me to a store. I read
Yeah.
digitally.
Yeah, I got FOMO, so I want one now.
Yeah, bro, you got to get that. You got to get yourself one. And when you go to your shop, Marco, if you go this coming week for Absolute, see if they won't give you the one from last week too.
Oh, hey, not a bad idea. They were like, "Oh, that's 8 books, please." Oh,
Jerks. Freaking card is what, $16?
alone?
Well, because if you have to buy
Oh,
4
oh.
books and they're $3.99, right?
Right.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mass Radiant says, to be honest, I only care about Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern series. What's up, Mass Radiant? That's cool. That's cool. If that's the only thing you care about, you know what that tells me? That tells me you care about something DC is doing.
Jeremy Adams also teased a new DC announcement from him coming soon. So
That's exciting. Yeah, he's only doing 1 book, so
I like how that's a surprise. Like now, like everyone
He's
has to
only
write
doing
more.
one
Though,
book.
yeah.
Yeah.
it's bugged out. But I know he does a lot of work elsewhere, so that's got to be the reason. But he's got a hot hand. Like it's no surprise that he's got a new book coming because everybody always talks about this Green Lantern run, which is very good. And so you would think DC would want to capitalize on that and get his name on more titles.
Well, and we're only seeing, maybe 6 months ahead. Who knows what else he's working on.
Yeah. It
And
feels go ahead.
sorry, I just was gonna say I agree with Cole here with Jeff Lemire coming back to DC doing JSA and Absolute Flash. Like there are names that they're pulling
Yeah.
that are like, oh, okay, cool, yes, I'm in.
And on like books that make sense, like Jeff Lemire on JSA is like a fan cast. You know what I mean? This guy's been doing JSA for the past 5-6 years with Black Hammer. Like it's kind of JSA. And him doing the team proper. He just did an interview this week too, where he talked about the differences between Justice League and JSA, and how JSA is a family, like an actual family. There's fathers and daughters and sons in it. So yeah, I'm hyped for it. Like All In is just getting. It's just like makes sense decisions.
MP says seeing characters like Challengers of the Unknown and Metamorpho getting books makes this initiative feel different, bringing back a well-rounded DC line and universe. And again, I go back to the New 52. I keep thinking about it. It feels like a synthesis of what the New 52 was trying to do, but in a way that allows everybody to come to the table.
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
It feels a little bit too to me like that initial DC Studios announcement video with James Gunn, where a lot of the stuff they announced there was like, oh, okay, you're doing Batman and Robin, but you're doing a Swamp Thing too. It just like really checking off a lot of the different parts of the DC universe to really flesh out that world, which I feel like is what All In is doing too.
I was thinking about this because I'm excited for Challengers of the Unknown. I'm excited for Metamorpho, and plus, beside the creative teams. But similar to that New 52, where at launch we had, X number of titles. You had your Jonah Hex, you had your Sergeant Rock, you had your Demon Knights. And not trying to be cynical about it, but is the expectation, or why would the expectation not be something similar where they're going to get 8 issues, they're going to get maybe half a run? Why does that feel different for you guys, if it does?
It feels different for me. If I fully understand what you're asking, it feels different for me because a lot of these books aren't new books. And they've already shown a track record for success, like Poison Ivy, Birds of Prey, Batman, Action Comics, Nightwing. Yes, they are changing and shifting creative teams. Some of them, not even all of them are, but these are books that are not starting from number one largely. And so what that means to me, the ones that aren't starting from number one is, hey, these books already have audiences. It's not about finding an audience, it's about adding to the audience that already exists. Whereas the New 52's books had to find an audience because those were jumping on points to a degree that it basically says goodbye to the people who were reading it before. There is no correlation between whatever the Titans book was prior to the New 52 and New 52 Titans. So there was no reason to read it if you were enjoying what was happening before.
I also think I'm more conditioned. I'm conditioned differently post New 52. Like pre New 52, we had ongoings. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect Challengers of the Unknown to be an ongoing. I don't expect Metamorphose announced as an ongoing, but I don't expect that to be an ongoing. I can enjoy 12 issues. You know, between now and the New 52, I've enjoyed a lot more superhero miniseries, superhero maxi series, and so I'm not. I guess my expectations are different now than they were back then.
And I think they've taught us to, conditioned and taught us to sort of be able to enjoy that more as well. But I think, I also think some of these all-in moves also feel a bit better researched than, some of the stuff that came out with the New 52. Like, there aren't any war comics in this one, but Challengers of the Unknown feels unique, and even on the cover, right, it's we've got, or at least the promotional images, we've got our Justice League team, but they're in the old Challenger uniforms, so that already evokes a sense of mystery couched in something kind of familiar.
They're looking at the market as it is, not the market that they want, the way that Didio sort of forced the New 52 line of comics to reflect the market he wanted to exist, the market of old that could sustain war comics and romance and all that other stuff. They're looking at the market that is, and they're saying, okay, how can we serve people who aren't being served right now while still serving everybody who comes to the cookout? And that is very smart. That is why I think Absolute being its own separate thing is such a genius play. Now, it's not a unique thing. We've said it multiple times. It is not really any different than what is happening with the Ultimate line. But is it a ripoff? No, I don't think it is. We know that the Absolute line and the current Ultimate line have been in the works for many, many years. It's not, this isn't a reaction to the launch of the Ultimate line. Comics don't work like that. At least not right now. You could have done the New 52 the way they did that. You could have done that, but that would be a disaster. And also, the Ultimate line of old started over 20 years ago. What this is it's looking at the market and it's saying, all right, you guys want fresh and new stories with these characters in a way that can't be delivered in main, but you won't buy like Earth One or Elseworlds or whatever at the volume we need you to. So let's give it to you the way you like it. Let's give it to you in floppy.
There's that phrase, you can't have your cake and eat it too. When you control the whole company, you can at least try, and that's kind of what it seems like they're trying to do here.
And I think I wonder how long all of this has been percolating because of when we stopped running and leading with the Justice League. Because to Kale's point on the cover of Challengers of the Unknown, you have the Trinity there, right? There's such an import placed on the Trinity now that you can put them onto a cover of the Challengers of the Unknown to like help entice people who might be unfamiliar with that. I'm in for the fact that it's that is the Challengers, whereas other people are like, oh cool, this is the Trinity now coming in and mixing around with these characters. And in the same way that the All In special was very much a return to form. Like, we're coming back. People are coming back. This is the moment, and it's the Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Go
just
ahead,
got
Tyler.
a super chat, $20 from Spiral Storm. Thank you, Spiral Storm. Saying usually being a disappointed Marvel reader, this new DC initiative seems to be embracing DC, and it gives me something to look forward to, and maybe go to the comic shop instead of looking forward to Epic Collections mostly.
Thanks a lot, Spiral. Yeah, again, they want us in shops. They want us in stores. They want us to go to the LCS. And I love that they're so focused on that. That is a great initiative. LCS needs a boost right now for sure. And doing things to get us to go is the way to get us to go. You know, those of us who say, I'll order my stuff online, or I'll wait, you know, I go every other month, or, you know, I'm digital or whatever. Like, getting people to break out of those things and feel like, you know, getting to the LCS on a Wednesday is an appointment. You know, that's what we need to feel again. It's that blockbuster feeling of going every Friday religiously and seeing everybody there, and wanting to be a part of something. That's how we're supposed to feel right now. Wanting to be a part of something.
And it's especially good for DC after all those years, all those COVID years of, the slander of DC's trying to kill the LCS.
Right. Yeah. They've had to rehab their public image in that respect. And I think that this is a great olive branch. Moving back to Wednesdays, even though some LCSs are upset about that. You can never please everybody. And then also, you know, this great big push to get people to go back. Now, I want to ask you guys, chatters, and obviously you guys on the panel, what do you want to see from DC? Because the All In special was cool. We know about Absolute. That's coming this Wednesday. That's super exciting and everything. But what do you want to see from them that we don't know about that will enhance your excitement level even more?
What are we doing with the Sandman stuff? Like, I think that's an in for me, and I'm always curious about that world, the mystical end, the Justice League Dark aspect. So what's going on there? Because I think clarity and a potential unity might be interesting, but they probably have to be careful with how they integrate that because it's recently been under the Sandman universe banner and all those titles. So um, that for me is something I would want to understand.
I would be surprised if they're doing anything with Sandman universe with
I,
the way Gaiman stuff is going.
oh, true. Yeah.
Well, also, I know James Tynan really loved being a part of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what his involvement level is in DC in general going forward. It seems like outside of the nice house by the sea, he's not really interested in much. But yeah, I could see Sandman stuff being integrated a little more. Well, actually, no, I can't because of what Kale said. Yeah.
Yeah, fair. If that's the case, Matthew Price nails it right in the head. Swamp Thing and Aquaman, where are my boys?
I guess for me, I'm really happy with what they're doing right now. I guess I want to see them do more with characters that I feel like need a boost. I don't want to see John Stewart fade into obscurity. I want to see them continue to use him. Keep using Static. I really don't like. I know that there's a separation between Milestone and Core DC. Fuck all that. Get Static in the mix. He should be on the Justice League Unlimited. Why not? You know, elevate him. Um, and what's her name? Sojourner. I want to see her more involved.
Hell yeah.
She's absolute version of hers coming. Al Ewing. Um, hmm. For me, like I want to see like the introduction of the Metamorpho, quote unquote, ongoing. Uh, like we know there's another reason for that book's existence. It's to get that character in the eyes of the public before a movie that features him is in it. I'd be curious to see who else gets that treatment. Does Guy Gardner get a comic book that comes out? Do we see a full-on Creature Commandos book? I think there's been rumors about that. The one shot just came out last week as well. So I'd be curious to see if there's any more of that vertical integration in some of the books that get announced.
I think for me, aside from seeing characters, more obscure characters get a spotlight, I would love to see sort of a refocus on teams and making those team books feel like they matter within their own books. Something like Jeff Johns' Titans, and even like the old Legion stories, where the things that happen in these books, while they might not necessarily, the events might not be big enough to affect the broader universe, but the relationships and the things that they encounter in these books, they matter within the book, and that's what keeps you going. What Jeff was saying last week, Sean brought to the table about the emotionality, the emotional core of those books, I think is something that, especially in a team book, has really been lacking for a long time.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you say emotionality, and that really, like, I really want to see these books feel purposeful from an emotional point of view. Why does this book exist? Why does the main character or a group of characters care about whatever it is they're here to do? And what am I going to get out of this on an emotional level? Is this book going to make me cry? Is it going to make me laugh? Is it going to make me think? Like, what is it going to do for me? Other than just be a superhero book, because there are a lot of those now. I think about like Plastic Man No More, which is tremendous, and it's not like mainline DC, but it has a reason to exist. It's not just a Plastic Man story for the sake of it. I don't give a flying fuck about that character, but that book made me. Now I want to read it every time it comes out.
Yep,
it's creative forward. Like even Challengers of the Unknown, not a team I really care about, but that's Christopher Cantwell in the book. The same guy who wrote Plastic Man. And that is a creator that I really enjoy. So if I'm not following Challenger of the Unknown, which I'm not, I am following Christopher Cantwell. So that's going to get me to that book as well.
Let's see what the chat says, because you guys have a lot of points of view on this too, and I love to see all the answers. Keep them coming, please. Amin Perez says, stop the relaunches. No need for new number ones constantly. I am with you, and I love the fact that All In didn't stop all these books that were doing well. Like I mentioned, Birds of Prey. Imagine if Birds of Prey was relaunching with a new number one from the same people. That's what it is. Like, I don't want to crap on Marvel. This isn't about that, but like that feels like what Marvel would do. And I don't want that. I want to see that these creative teams get rewarded by continuing their runs with larger numbers. Don't stop at 13. No, let's go. Let's see how far we can get this.
They could have easily done that too. Like the way the covers look for these all-in books, the white background with the logo and the characters in front, very basic, rudimentary, covers. A number one on there look great, but instead we have Birds of Prey, 16 that just came out, and that's fine too.
We got Gavin in the chat, and Gavin, damn it, says
Gavin Guidry.
He says, artist of Birds of Prey, mind you. It's weird having answers to some of these questions, but I can't say. He says, I've done covers for books featuring some of these characters. That's all I can say.
Is it all you can say, Gavin?
Just hanging the carrot.
Gavin, you gonna be in New York Comic Con?
Rubbing
Just saying, you can say some stuff there if you want.
Gavin, you know what I think about the fact that you come here and tease us like that? Do you know what that means to me? You know what that is to me, Gavin? That is a red flag, dude. That is a red fucking flag.
Yeah, usually I pay people for that.
Wow. Oh boy.
I got one here from Near. Different characters that usually aren't paired together. Like hearing about Superman and Zatanna was interested. Yeah, get some, wacky crossovers. That'd be interesting, especially if we're using the entire plethora of the DC universe. Yeah, we got fire and ice, but like what other mixtures can we get? Aquaman and Black Lightning.
I don't think that
Why?
would work. It's lightning and water, Marco. That's probably a
And hey,
problem.
maybe there's something there.
You know what they could call that book? Tyler, if you use your brain, Dangerous Currents.
Ooh, pow, 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 pow.
What do you write or something?
Hound Hound says, keep the line manageable. Don't hunt most of your devoted fans to extinctions by bloating the line. Great point.
Extinction.
What did I say?
No, it's not that. It's just like it makes me think about the X-Men and how I feel
Oh,
like we're being hunted to extinction right now.
Yeah.
Marvel has an extinction agenda for fans of the X-Men.
yeah.
Pete Collins, artist behind the Bardic Verses, says, I'm all for smaller, digestible, good stories. Not everything needs to be an ongoing. Peacemaker Tries Hard is a good example of a great story that's smaller and fits in the cross-media need. Yeah, like some stories don't necessarily have the legs to be ongoing, and I love that both Marvel and DC are seeing that now. They're not just saying, all right, you've got a story that lasts about 5 issues, but go do it. And then when the sales come back, we'll tell you if we're going to keep it going or not. And then the sales will be good, so they keep it going. But you can clearly tell that there was no plan for more. So now they're just spewing garbage. Booking something as a 5-issue mini so we all know what we're getting into is a beautiful thing. And if there really is a bigger story to be told, like with Poison Ivy, that started as a limited series and then grew into an ongoing 26 issues later, I love that for them too. Because G. Willow Wilson and co. clearly knew what they would do if they got more issues.
And you keep people on the line like that. When we started our pre New 52 discussion, you had mentioned that there was hesitancy about number ones, about books that were not over the course of 100, 200 issues from readers prior, and so maybe trying to capitalize on that and build that dedicated fan base. That makes sense to retain the base.
Dex Baker says the numbering doesn't affect me after Chip's Daredevil run. The legacy numbers continue ultimately. Yeah, I hear you. But when I'm reading a series and then it ends and then it gets relaunched with the literal exact same creative team and they're charging me $1 more to be able to buy a new number one for a series I've already been reading for a year or two, it kind of feels shit. It don't feel good.
The new number one's also a jumping off point for people. And why do
Yeah.
that when you can just trick them to buy the next issue, like we did in the old days?
Also, I feel like there's prestige associated with getting to those bigger numbers. Like Immortal Hulk being able to say that book did 50 issues. I think that is a big deal. That is a big deal to me.
Bring back the respect.
But also, these companies could also make it easier to see where a jumping on point could be. You don't have to renumber it every time, but maybe putting the part 1 on the cover or something, one of whatever in this story.
Yeah.
Like something to make it easier for the non-committed reader.
Beginning of a new arc. Come visit. Easy. Slap it on. Had a sticker. Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Aaron Ruiz says no more multiple events. Cap it at 1. Don't bother. Don't market it as a big thing when it only really involves one central character that you may not be reading. I agree with that, because then you mess up with the flow of other books, and that gets frustrating where you can't see the forest for the trees, because you got to involve all these people, you got to involve all of these individual characters when realistically it was just a Batman event.
Dex Baker with the 10th spot. Something All In #1 did that I haven't seen since Forever Evil. It reminded you that the villains have their own relationships without the heroes. Some villains are on a first name basis with Darkseid. Yeah, and I thought the usage of Darkseid's given name, Uxus, was a little over the top. It was used too frequently. I feel like Darkseid's not the kind of character who you want to disrespect like that.
The Queen of Hell using it makes sense, but I don't know if Eclipso does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dex, I agree with you though that the villain relationships was something that always kind of surprised me about DC coming from Marvel, where I feel like that's not as common. You know, in DC you have the rogues who are very connected with each other. And I was like, wow, that's kind of weird because Spider-Man has the Sinister Six, but that's more of a union based around like necessity to stop this freaking wall crawler than a relationship that they have. They don't like each other at all.
Describing the Sinister Six as a union, I love actually.
Like, I mean, the beatings they take, they've got to get health care.
Yeah, that's a
Workers'
violation
rights.
if I've seen it.
Thanks a lot, Dex. Really appreciate you, man.
We got Amin Perez says he's asking for global peace. Oh, sorry. He said no more gimmick events, but I might as well ask for global peace now that I'm at it.
I mean, I'm also asking for global peace. If we're asking for what we want, I'm all in on global peace. How about that?
Two things can happen.
Yeah. Don't sell yourself short. I mean, shoot for the moon or shoot for the stars.
Whoa, shoot the moon. Oh, Eclipso, yeah, get him out of there, man. He's too strong.
Fuck him. Yeah. Sick of him. Hey, speaking of all in, right? We're talking about DC. Uncanny Suit says, is Spider-Man anti-union? Yes, very much. He
100%.
hates all dock workers and all that.
Scabberman.
Yes. Speaking of all in, DC has decided that they're going all in, and how could we not follow through? We too are inspired by DC Comics going all in, and so are we. So what does that mean for you guys? What it means is that you are going to be seeing our faces for radio every day. Every day, we are going to be dropping new videos every day of the week. You're going to see us, whether we're live with you Saturdays or Thursdays, like we are right now, or if it's an off day, we're going to be dropping videos for you guys. Our channel members are going to eat. Everybody who's a subscriber is going to eat, because every single day we're going to drop evergreen videos with topics we don't discuss on the show that you can only see on youtube.com/thecomicspals. What we want to do is find out how much of us you guys can really tolerate. How often do you want to see us? How often do you want to hear from us and our perspective? So far, we've been doing it all week, and you guys have been there for us. You've been supporting, you've been watching, you've been commenting. Thank you for that. We want to keep it going. Not only are we all in with the evergreen videos, but we are developing and debuting a new show this month. Pen Pals, we've talked about it in the past. It is finally happening this month. Channel members, stay tuned for that. That's coming. It's a very exciting time to be a Comics Pal. Hopefully, it's an exciting time to be a pal of the Comics Pals, because we've got a lot in the tank. New York Comic Con is coming, and we're going to be doing interviews on the show floor in Artist Alley with your favorite creators. Send us a list of who you want us to seek out, and we'll try to get an interview with them. We have our own list. And there may even be a surprise or two. You never know. So keep it locked here with us at Comics Pals HQ for All In Month. Should be a lot of fun.
Should be.
Will be.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan Trudeau says, what did I miss? Is something going on with DC? No.
Yeah, nothing event.
No,
Nice.
uneventful.
Steve
Yeah.
Matthews says, my wife already complains I spend more time with you guys than I do her. Bring it on.
You know what's funny? My wife does too.
I mean, you're not all in if you're not getting that type of complaint, right? That's what it means. Last Young Renegade says, in my European LCS, trades and hardcovers way outsell singles, so don't know how much starting at number 1 helps newcomers. Personally, I like the big numbers like Batman 691 or Action Comics 1070. Yeah, I love big numbers too. And I think that being able to sell a number 1 in issue 1 helps a lot to pop a number for floppies. But yeah, you're totally right. When it comes to hardcovers and trades and whatever, it doesn't really make any lick of difference. It's the next iteration of Batman. If we're on volume 7 of Batman, it doesn't matter what part of volume 7 it is. It's volume 7 if you read that way. But let's talk about the other angle of this that I wanted to get into a little bit, which was the fact that DC's all in across the board, because there's also a YA arm of this thing. There's a young adult arm to DC's all in. Now, we know that DC publishes comics for young people. We know that. But they just announced a whole slate of new YA books that, in my mind, go hand in hand with not only the All-In special, or not only the All-In initiative, but the Compact Comics initiative. We've talked a lot about how big of a deal those are, and I was one of the people saying, well, this is great, but what about the kids? What about the children? We need to get them in the mix. And so DC went ahead and announced 4 new YA graphic novels to come across the next year. We've got Birds of Prey Origins by Sarah Shepard and Stephanie Pepper. Sarah is a writer behind Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also,
I like how that
Warner
popped
property.
you guys.
It's a Warner property, right?
I don't know.
CW.
So that's pretty cool. It's gonna tell the origin of the Birds of Prey that in this iteration will feature Huntress, Harley Quinn, Batgirl, and Black Canary. Gosh, I really don't love the Harley Quinn like induction into the Birds of Prey. I don't like that.
Swallow that pill, Sean. There's no turning back now.
Hey, I wasn't a Birds of Prey fan before Kelly Thompson's run anyway. I just thought the movie, being a Birds of Prey movie with Harley Quinn dominating the centerpiece of it, was kind of horseshit. But what are you gonna do? So we're getting that. That's coming out November 4th of next year. Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo are teaming up. I believe this is a reteaming for them.
Yeah, a couple times now.
Yeah. For a Titans graphic novel. Titans Together.
Full one. Whoa.
Yeah.
I love Gabriel Piccolo's art.
Yeah, it's
these
real
books
cool.
aren't for me, but like, man, the art is really good. The dude just draws like modern clothing perfectly. Like he knows what people are wearing. It just looks good.
I like the QR code T-shirt for Cyborg.
It's nuts.
Yeah, I wish I could scan it.
I wonder if it goes anywhere. So yeah, it features a team that looks to me like, let me see if I can do this. I see Beast Boy, Raven, Cyborg, Dick Grayson, Starfire, and I'm blanking on 2 of these people.
The other one looks like maybe Damien, just by skin
Damien.
tone.
I was thinking Damien.
And I have no idea who the girl is. Could it be Bumblebee?
I think it's maybe Bumblebee.
That's what I was thinking.
Bumblebee typically does have poofs in her hair.
Yeah,
Well, the purple jackets throw me off.
This is cool. I mean, their collaborations have been super successful. Cammy's always has crazy people around her. Like her table I don't know if Piccolo's ever made it out to NYCC,
He
but
has, and his table is mobbed most of the time.
yeah,
That's why you didn't
yeah.
see it. You couldn't.
I feel
Interesting.
like I feel like their stuff popped off on Instagram at the beginning because of the style, because of the look. It looked modern. It's like, oh, cool. This is what if they were real, and then it manifested into something. Obviously, they were working on it, which is why. But yeah, Raven, Beast Boy, Starfire, like all that stuff has come out to success, and so this is just you continue down the line. Once you hit something that really connects with people, you make that a series, and I think this is exactly what you need. And then from here, you can diverge into other things.
They are, because they are also doing Supergirl's eighth grade adventures by Landry Q. Walker and Eric Jones. It's coming out in August of 25. And you can imagine it's Supergirl for young girls and young people in general.
In eighth grade.
I feel like this is based, or at least the art is based on an old TV show.
Called
Right
what?
about that? I feel like there was an old cartoon that had a similar art style to this.
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, so we're getting that. That's exciting. Supergirl is on Front Street right now with the movie coming, and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow being a successful comic. So, putting her in front of young people is a really smart decision on DC's part. I like that a lot.
Okay, yeah, Kel, I think you're right. This is a reprinting in this new format, the Supergirl, because Eric Jones actually passed away. So this is like
Oh,
Oh,
taking. I think
yeah.
it was
This was
published in
published in
20.
2008, 2009, so they're republishing it.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
And then we also have Kid Flash Going Rogue by Steve Fox and Jerry Gaylord. So this is featuring Kid Flash and some of the Flash family members sort of going on an adventure, and he's got rogues of his own that are all teenagers. And yeah, it'll be an adventure for the middle grade kids, coming out on September 2nd of 25.
Dude, the rogues as teens is a great idea in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I'm a
Even
proponent that the rogues need to be in everything.
even the depiction here just on the cover, I think is great. That this kid that looks like Trickster
Trickster, yeah.
looks like you guys might be too young for this. Looks like a Kid Vid from the old Burger King
Oh, I'm not
Happy
too
Meal
young for
toys.
kids,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah.
Kel. Yeah, and like the makeup here with like is that Pied Piper? Looks like a
Yeah.
weather wizard and golden glider.
Yeah.
That's fun. And I like how this is Wally, right? For Kid Flash.
Gives him something to do. Like it puts
Yeah.
him somewhere.
Yeah, it feels appropriate.
DC not leaving the kids out of things, and I'm excited about that too. Like they have a plan for people of all ages to come aboard, and that's what we always talk about.
I think that's a strength that DC has that I not to say that, Marvel doesn't have pockets of that, but I think DC's inherent sort of agelessness um gives them the ability to do something like this, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. Cole says it here. Got to tap into that Dogman market. Keep them reading, and you tap into that, you're in the DC ecosystem. Now you upsell them to wherever you need. You keep them around, and maybe they go, "Hey, I've been reading, Teen Titans. I wonder what this Titan book looked like. Oh, I'm
Yep.
interested in Damien."
Yeah. Tell stories with the characters now so that these kids will love them and then hopefully continue to read them, as they age into adulthood. That's the goal.
Yep.
I feel like it's a super just like successful method, because I think also the books are advantageous for communicating a very clear story and challenging kids with uh certain dilemmas that they're going to come across, right? So you also help to build them up from like growing up, right? You can present questions and issues to them before they get to the more fantastical things of the DC universe or more mature books. Um, yeah, challenge them. You know, it's necessary for growth.
And not only that, like the Teen Titans one, the Kevin Garcia, Gabriel Piccolo one, like kids are reading that now as their kids and teens. But look, guess what happens when the Teen Titans movie that they're making comes out in like 5 years? You know, they have a fan base that then goes to the
Oh yeah.
movies. So like they're also, it's also IP. Like it gets people into these characters as fandom, because that's what sells things. That's what sells tickets to things.
And I think with that point, you can sort of see how All In isn't just about the direct market. It's about DC as a brand, as a
Mm.
whole. One of the things that the New 52 did right, and I would argue that DC tends to do pretty well, is synergizing in a way that doesn't feel so aggravating all the time. Like the animated movies that they were pushing out during the 90s took their cues from the Batman animated series and the Superman animated series and stuff like that. So it all kind of had the same look and feel, which means that if you watch one, you could probably watch another and enjoy it. The New 52 comics was the baseline, and then the animated series or shows or movies that followed up took their cues from the New 52. Even the movies have a similar vibe to the New 52. And I'm talking about the Snyder films. Look at Justice League. Look at BVS. Look at Superman from Action Comics and look at Superman from Man of Steel. It's very, very similar stuff going on. So if DC can do that again by making the comics feel like the movies, well, actually, I would say the opposite, making the movies feel like the comics, making Superman from the books feel like the one we're going to be watching on screen, and everywhere in between, that is a recipe for success. Because when you go from that movie to that comic book, and yeah, Superman's dealing with something else, there's something else going on in the books, but it's the same guy, that's the way it works. That's how it has to be. And when I say same guy, I'm not saying like it's the same continuity as the movies. I'm saying, spiritually speaking, you can identify the characteristics of the version of Superman you like with this comic book and vice versa. That's how it should feel. This is great. I am so excited for what DC has cooking. They've got their best foot forward. I just hope that, really, honestly, I hope the people take to it.
Hope the kids take to it. Yeah.
That's DC's biggest problem, is to get people to come. But they've done all they can do. Now it's up to us. It's up to us.
Yep.
Show up, pay out.
Yeah. Cole says Gunn's DC is going to bring a lot of new people and excitement. They're making a smart choice now in publishing to create a great on-ramp for different ages and markets. Yeah, totally. That's exactly what we're saying. Completely agreed. Dan says DC also has a less expensive way to feel things out and see what actually connects with a younger audience.
What do you mean less expensive?
Yeah, like you're talking about pushing out the graphic novels, or what do you mean?
Not paying the Hickman tax, not paying the event tax.
Yeah, curious what you mean by that one. I think it makes sense to get a feel for what connects to younger audiences for sure. But yeah, I don't know if there's less risk involved.
On the risk subject, as we wind down this this DC focused main topic, this has to work. I think this really has to work. I don't think that DC can afford yet another embarrassment or another, deep dive worthy period where things are just going wrong and wrong and wrong. This has to succeed.
Across all facets too, like movies as well. Like they're owned by Warner Brothers, and the guy who owns Warner Brothers has been pretty cavalier about what he cuts. So if this doesn't work, we could be having a deep dive on All In, a decade from now.
Well, not just that, like a DC fire sale.
Yeah, I was thinking it. I wasn't going to say it, but like those properties being sold off. Like I think they are, like that. You're right, Sean. This needs to work for them.
The comics industry pulls all out of DC Comics.
Yikes.
And we know how
Deep
that
dive
method works.
coming 2027.
2 years. You're giving it 2 years.
Nah, just joshing. Brian Harry says, this is the most hype for DC I've been since Rebirth, and I'm a huge DC fan, although Ghost Machine has my attention big time right now.
Yep. I get it.
Who's not hyped? Who's a DC fan that's like,
Well, as a Marvel podcast, we're collectively not excited.
True. I was going to say Joker fans maybe right now, but
Yeah, listen, I don't mind saying I'm the most cynical of us all, and listen, I'm pretty pumped. I'm not thrilled about Absolute Batman or Superman, but damned if I'm not going for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And this is also DC that has a JSA comic coming out with a really good creative team, and Legion seems to be front and center. So they're scratching your back right now.
They are scratching my back.
And a New Gods comic. Oh,
come on.
Hell yeah.
Rom V, Evan Cagle, that shit's going to be fire. Spiral Storm says, but how does Marvel draw in people? Well, I think, Marvel's brand is way more powerful than DC's, just off the movies alone. They can create a character or push a character out that will penetrate very easily. I mean, it's just so much easier for them. Like, what is DC? I guess Suicide Squad would be the equivalent of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy are way bigger than the Suicide Squad. I mean, they've got a ride, they've got, the holiday special, 3 movies, and just everybody loves it.
Two rides. Yet neither of them have an ongoing right now.
True.
Yeah. Well, to that point, like I would almost argue they've got like a vampiric thrall over people. It's like they will pull you in and you will regret it.
That's fair. Heroic Age says, not to be negative, but I'm not really feeling the hype. Nothing has actually changed for the main universe, which hasn't been great. Mark Waid will do great stuff, but that's the same. Absolute, though. But see, that's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. You are hyped. You're just not hyped for the main line, but that's okay because you're still putting money in DC's coffers at the end of the day. You're sold on Mark Waid. Mark Waid's on Action Comics. Mark Waid's on World's Finest. So I assume you're buying those, Heroic. And then you're also saying that you're excited for Absolute. So you're going to buy a few of those as well. That's it.
Mark Waid's on JLU too. Which could then spin on other titles you might be interested in. They're going to get you, whether you like it or not.
And like Absolute aside, like we've got New Gods coming up. Like there are books in the wings we didn't even know about.
Right.
Yeah, just wait.
Dex Baker says, I'm not sure if I believe the brand power thing between Marvel and DC because I still get asked if the X-Men are DC regularly. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's ever going to truly go away just because of, I mean, not everybody knows everything. But when you're talking about the ability to take a character that people don't know or care about and make it into something big and special and magnetic, I would say that over the last decade plus, Marvel has proven their ability to do that. You know, DC has only been able to truly make big time successes out of a handful of their characters, whereas Marvel had the Midas touch film wise for the longest and really have only dropped a few bombs. They've only dropped a deuce a couple of times when it comes to the film end of things. That speaks to their power. I mean, my God, they got the Guardians over, they got Captain Marvel over. Iron Man was nobody in 2008. You know?
Got 3 movies.
Yeah, made a Billy. Iron Man made a Billy.
Iron Man and Aquaman.
Yeah.
Where's the book?
Well, no one is clamoring for an Aquaman book except for me if it's written by PKJ.
Ooh. I think Amin Perez in the chat saying he's waiting for an Aquaman book, and that's why he's not hyped for this.
Fair enough.
PKJ and who's on art?
Oh shit.
J.H. Williams, make it all watercolor.
Oh, I fuck with them. Hold on.
Like a painterly sort of thing.
Painterly? I see it.
I don't know if J.H. Williams actually cares much for DC anymore. We talked about
Give me
that.
Dan Mora.
Him and his team are a little busy right now.
Yeah, they got shit to do.
Well, who's available? I mean, who's available.
Gavin just puts 3 dots. Gavin, what's up?
We don't even know what Gavin's involved in. He could be involved. It could be him. It could be PKJ and Gavin Guidry. I don't fucking know.
Retracts message. Yo, hey, if you got something to say, bro, we'll do it on the side. It's fine. Yo, Gavin Guidry and PKJ, easy, sold.
Well, if you're talking about what I want from DC All In, I would like to see Gavin Guidry on a book.
Yeah,
of course. It's a must. It's a guarantee.
Christian Ward. Same guy that did that one with Ron V.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what was it? Andromeda?
Marco's O was the most.
I'm not a Ward guy. Kale's the only Ward I can tolerate.
Amin Perez says Marvel is going to go crazy and announce 30 more X-Men titles, Sean. Don't threaten them. And they could announce 75 if they want to. I'm drawing a line. The call is coming. I am not going to just I'm putting my sucker days behind me. I'm going to be sucker free in 2025. Trust me. No more. I won't tolerate it, Marvel.
What if Marvel's like, hey, we're going to come out with 10 more X-Men titles, but one of them is going to be Apocalypse written by Hickman?
I mean, I'll buy that. That doesn't mean I'm buying all of them.
And
It
won't exist unless those exist.
Then I'm not buying it.
Okay.
I'm not buying it.
Pay that Hickman tax? Nah.
Yo,
they say he wears a suit the whole time. Anything? No.
No.
Oh, PKJ and Riccardo Federici. That's cool.
Federici did some of, was it Parker's Aquaman run?
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Ooh, very good stuff. Dealt with some like old gods.
That was in Pelletier?
No, early on it was Pelletier, but it went further with
kind of Cullen Bunn picks up at some point, which wasn't good.
Damn, that is it. PKJ and Gene Ha or Nicola Scott for Aquaman get into the old gods and some of that deep stuff. That is absolutely the way, because PKJ has talked about wanting to tie in his Olgren stuff. And I could see that tying in beautifully to Aquaman. I mean, come on, you go to those depths, you don't know what the fuck is gonna crawl, all those tentacles and shit. That's a perfect place to do old god material.
It was Dan Abnett, actually. Dan Abnett's run. Fantastic run. But yeah, Sean, you're right. Like, old gods they come from the sea. You know, Cthulhu rises from the ocean. Makes sense. And also, the Warcraft of it all. We know how old gods work there.
Yeah. Mike Elliott says, I'm no more hyped than usual. I guess I'm picking up a few more DC books than usual, but I do that for new titles without All In. I hear you, man. And listen, Mike, my hope out of all of this, my biggest hope, we asked it earlier. The truth is, my biggest hope out of all of this is that Marvel takes this as a challenge. That's my biggest hope, because I want to see Marvel's best effort. And I just truly don't feel like we're getting it right now. I think that they can do better. I really do.
We need to light a Human Torch under their ass right now.
Ahmed and Roboters are on the same wavelength. Ahmed says Marvel having an emergency meeting right now over losing the Sean stocks. Roboter says Sean Stacks did the thing they feared. Sean learned to curb that impulse. Marvel scrambling to think of a new number one for Sean.
I don't need a new number one. I need great comics, you know?
But great comics are number ones. Great comics are the ones that sell. They're number ones.
No more gimmicks. Sucker free in 2025. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not buying the gimmicks.
Yet.
No, it is not yet. No. Red bands. I'm not buying red bands in 2025. All right. I'm not going to throw bands anymore at the LCS. I'm saving my bands.
But next week, when Blade Red Band 1 comes out, that's 2024.
It's not 2025 yet.
We still got to finish Wolverine Revenge, all the red band stuff there.
It's not 2025 yet. I told you, I'm dropping X-Men. I'm dropping it.
You would
In
probably drop
2025.
Phoenix too if it wasn't Phoenix.
And I might still.
Is that
The only one I can tell you as a guarantee I won't drop is Uncanny X-Men.
Sean dropping Phoenix reminds me of that Denzel crying while shooting the gun at someone.
Yeah. That's not Denzel. Who is that?
Isn't that
Doesn't
Denzel?
matter.
No, it's Wesley Snipes. It's Wesley Snipes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That was highly racial, what just happened. Tyler confusing black people, Kale saying it doesn't even matter which black person it was. Jesus Christ. That was nuts.
Not what was happening. Fair.
Steve Matthews says, even without All In happening, the Comics Pals have turned me into a DC head. My new 52 trade collection is growing. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, the Comics Pals turned me into a DC head. And I'm on the show. It's just, that's what's exciting right now. We come here to talk to you guys about what's exciting in comics.
And that was long before you guys got involved. You guys, the audience.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, you're right, Gavin. For that conversation that just played out here on the Pals with the two light-skinned among us, I'm going to wave 2 red flags.
No.
One for each of you guys. That's what you deserve. My goodness.
Wow.
Have some class.
Erasing my Latino heritage. Wow, that's a red flag for me.
I said light-skinned. I did not say white.
I'm just
people.
saying.
Wow.
What do you think? You're dark-skinned, Tyler?
Only in like the months of like July and June it gets a little darker, but that's if I get out.
Tyler was trying to wave his Spanish flag to escape the racial element of what he had said there.
I was using the Wepa defense. It's classic.
Oh wow! All right, listen, you're making people uncomfortable now.
That was funny. The way, that sounds like a martial arts.
It's just a chancla.
Yeah.
Jesus
those
Christ.
like cheap lace ones that you get at the laundromat. Yeah.
Oh wow! All right, we are just on the verge of cancellation.
Verge after that conversation, we will cross that line.
Oh my God. Aaron Ruiz says, I don't know. In my head, Marvel already thought they did something new with the Ultimate Universe. Yeah. But I feel like it's new, but it's old in the sense that that's what they've been working on for the last 5 years. And we know that All In has been in the works. Well, really Absolute has been in the works for a large chunk of time, but it's not just that. It's bolstered and accompanied by what feels like a brand-wide narrowing in terms of focus, like focusing in on, all right, let's all together now make something major happen across the board. The film arm is changing and things are looking up. The animation arm is changing and things are looking mid. The The YA arm is ramping up. Everything is ramping up at the same time. And Marvel doesn't have that going for it. And that is what I want to see. And I think we're going to learn what that is soon enough. Dan says, does Sean go around with those flags? I should go to my LCS with those fucking flags. Anytime a buster is standing in front of the display just reading a book, you know what I'm gonna do when they're reading their fucking book? I'm gonna put this red flag in their face. I'm gonna cover the book with my flag, and they're gonna turn and see me, and they're gonna know what that means. They're gonna know it means get to stepping.
You call him a buster?
Yeah.
I don't think that word has been said outside of TLC karaoke in decades.
But that's what they were talking about.
Sure.
Those people are scrubs. No scrubs.
No scrubs. You heard it here first.
Yes. Shit, man. Ooh, Tilo, I want Ryan North on Guardians. That's a fire idea. Ooh. You were cooking with gas on that one.
I'm surprised he hasn't done Guardians.
He hasn't done much.
Squirrel Girl's very good.
Squirrel Girl, yeah. He was on Squirrel Girl for a long time. So,
Gavin calling Sean the LCS Sheriff.
Yes. Dude, get me a badge.
That needs to be a actual occupation.
Can we do a skit? Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
Is Phil here?
No.
That's what I was gonna... No, we fired the guy that did those a long time ago.
There were no firings. No, but like one of the trends on comic book YouTube right now is I went to every LCS wherever I live. So we could do that, right? We go to every LCS in New York, and I'll just be the LCS sheriff, and I will police the etiquette of people at the LCS.
Man, Eric Adams putting cops in comic shops now too. Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Follow people from the McDonald's who go straight to the book and like start grubbing up the pages. It's like, ooh, what's this?
It's gonna be me.
It's a red flag, is what it is.
Whoa, who are you? It's me, the LCS Sheriff. Yeah.
If I saw an LCS Sheriff, I'd pants him. Jeez.
Don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me.
That's
bad news. Very red flag. All right. So DC has a lot cooking. Tune in Thursday. We're not done by any means, but if you want to hear our thoughts about Marco just kissed his dog.
That's like
so
a cartoon.
Fucking loud. Yeah.
I thought I was on mute. I thought I was on mute. I thought I hit mute.
It's like Jigglypuffy's draining kiss. It like sounded like a video game sound effect.
It sounded like fucking Bugs Bunny kissing Lola Bunny at the end of Space Jam. Jesus Christ, did you leave a mark on your dog?
No.
That's that Multiverse's side B.
The softest kiss.
Damn, bro. Did you leave a hickey on your dog?
Damn, what that mouth do? We know now.
You know, at night his neighbors are complaining.
They all deserve love. Save the animals.
I just can't get over how fucking loud that was.
Like, so loud.
It's funny because I was wondering, I'm like, why did they stop? I was like, oh no.
Oh my God. Unreal. Gavin said, I thought that was a squeaky toy. Oh, wow. All right. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So tune in on Thursday for Pals Pulls, where we're going to be reviewing Absolute Batman. And of course, we're gonna keep things rocking with all the DC all-in books that are impending. It's a really exciting time. A whole bunch of you tuned in this past Thursday for Pals Pulls, and I'm really appreciative. We all are, for that level of support. Let's keep it going, man. I think that like it's easy to recognize how big of a deal what DC is doing and these initiatives. It's easy to see how big they are because of how many of you are excited about it by coming to hang out with us. The discussions on Discord have been super active. So many of you joining, watching us live. Like you guys are showing us your excitement level by the tuning in that you're doing. Tyler, you were going to say something?
I was gonna say Discord's so popping, it's hard for me to keep up sometimes.
I feel left behind on some of the conversation on the Discord.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everyone's talking on there.
What the fuck? Hendrik Perry says, when did this website add my middle school username to my name? Hendrik the Viller dude or Viler dude Perry. The fuck? That's one of those edgy ass, like, when you're coming up with your first AOL username and you have to come up with some shit that's like really cool and edgy.
Viewers, AOL was an old program you would use to access the internet. It would use your phone line to do it. Oh, sorry. A phone it's sort of like that thing in your pocket, but we used to have to plug them into the wall.
Sorry, but the plug was connected to the broader telephone line, which your internet now comes out of. You know that unused.
What is happening now? I have to talk over this. What is happening now is why we banned bits. That is exactly why. Yeah. So, as we said, the pals are going all in too. We are going all in alongside DC all throughout the month of October. We're going to be delivering you guys videos every single day of the week, including the weekends. We absolutely want you guys to become as a part of our fold as you possibly can. Join our Discord server. There's a link to it in the video that you are currently watching. The description of this video includes a link, so join that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Like this video. We're going to keep it rocking. We've got a bunch of news to get into and other fun stuff to discuss and dissect. If we've got time, Tyler and I are going to talk a little bit about the Joker movie. Spoiler free. Do not worry about anything about like that. We're not going to spoil it. It's not a review. Just a little chit chat if we can spare it. Before we dive into all of the inevitable conversation, I do want to specifically shout out patreon.com/thecomicspals, where we are always giving you guys bang for your buck. You guys go all in for us over on Patreon. By supporting, we go all in for you by delivering you guys tons of extra material, stuff that you can't find anywhere else. In fact, this week, I did something a little different. I posted a script that I wrote from when I was a younger lad, a 19-year-old, that I wrote for the comics experience. It's a digital school now. It used to be a physical school, and I took that class, and so I posted the script that we had to produce to pass the class. I mean, you weren't going to fail, but it was a thing you had to do. And I just thought I would put that out there to give you guys a different shade of me, show you a different side of who I am. So
maybe I should do that too. I have a couple scripts in college that I can post.
Yeah.
Maybe some feedback on that might light a human torch under my ass, for all I know.
Put up.
Well, why not? Why not? See what it sparks. Speaking of our supporters, I want to give a special shout out to our PalsVerse legends. These are the people who go the hardest for us over on Patreon. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you to Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound, who was in the chat, Starcross Catherine Stars, who was in the chat, the Red Spiral Storm, who is in the chat, Orseus the Waterbound, and Adam and Bernie, the bestest boy. Thank you so much. I also want to shout out the Night Stalker Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, who was in the chat, Momentum Mike Elliott, who was in the chat, Dan The Truth, Trudeau, who is in the chat, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manastorm, Slow Flow Dammer, and Christian Uncaged, always laughing. The Spear of Justice, Izzy's Issues, The Great Destroyer, Hyper Viper 89, Robert Runback Kashabak, who is in the chat, Pete the Dreamweaver Collins, who is in the chat, Matthew Malice Price in the chat, James Just Jamming Jones, Amin Almighty Perez, who is with us in the chat, Paul Powerhouse Smith, Andrew the Galaxian Smith, Neon Knight, the Cosmic Avenger, Matthew the Shade Cosmo, BJ Kicks, the Living Blade Boss Frontier, the Grand Alchemist, Chop Harder Alchemist, John Barrier B, Simon Gale Force, Garrett Garnett, Todd Tremor Butler, Cameron Cavernous Gordon, and joining the PalsVerse, David Melendez Doria, or as he is otherwise known, Doomsday. No one knows when their time is coming. A person could just as easily meet their end stepping outside to buy groceries as they could lying in their bed, surrounded by their loved ones, going peacefully at a ripe old age. They say that this fact is motivating. Knowing that we each have an expiration date that we can't check means you have to live life fully every day, as any one could be your last. David was raised differently. He grew up surrounded by love, affection, and attention. Worship, one could say. Jealousy, too. But none would dare express that outright. The small but tight-knit community he was raised in was full of like-minded people. People who knew something was deeply wrong with the world, but that something was coming to set it all right. A doomsday for those who contributed to the world's ills and injustices. But a beautiful, joyous revelation for those who lived according to the word of their Lord, delivered to them by his earthly speaker, King Crimson. No, that wasn't his real name, but in order to avoid tethers to the world before they fully came to accept the word, everyone in this commune adopted a new name. David was the son of Crimson and Delilah. Delilah came to the commune with Magnus, her boyfriend of many years. Over time, Crimson made it clear that the word dictates the women of the commune must be willing to lay with Crimson in order to fully cleanse themselves of all sins. And while Magnus wasn't happy about it, Delilah was eager to be favored by the Lord. David was the product of this cleansing. The word, according to King Crimson, spoke of a prophet born of him who would herald the coming of their Lord. The child would be immune to death until doomsday. Sorry, I lost it again. The child would be immune to death until doomsday, as they would be protected by their purity. As a young boy, David was used to eyes on him. People believed that he was special and different than them, but that isn't always a good thing. One day, a group of people from the commune couldn't contain their frustration anymore about the lack of proof about David. They demanded answers, a demonstration of David's holiness. King Crimson knew that these kinds of outbursts would become more common if he did not show his people the truth about his son. Crimson led his people up to the top of a cliff near the commune. He stood by David, hand on his son's shoulder, looking towards his people. Delilah stood in the crowd, hand in hand with Magnus, who could hardly contain his disgust. Some of you have been whispering indecencies about the nature of my son's destiny. You don't believe he was put on this earth to herald the new age, when our people will truly inherit the world due to our faithfulness. Know that these impure thoughts will be punished. However, to silence all doubters, I have decided that a demonstration is in order. From this day forth, none shall question the holiness of my son or I ever again. Crimson leaned over to speak into David's ear. David smiled up at his father as he truly adored him. Most boys believe their fathers to be a Superman of sort, and David was no different. More so, in fact, because of how worshipped he was by the people of the commune. His father was the right and the way, and never to be questioned. Crimson turned to David. Boy, in this life, you will come to learn that sometimes extreme sacrifices are required to prove ourselves to doubters. Doubt is a weakness we can only burn away with displays such as this. Worry not for yourself, worry for your people, whose souls are now weighed down by their doubt of my word. You will endure. With those final words, Crimson pushed David off the cliff. David screamed the entire way down, flailing as air rushed into his lungs. He felt as though he was falling forever, dreading the moment when he would land, but wanting desperately to be back on solid ground. Within seconds, he got that wish. There was a loud thud, and the crowd rushed to the edge of the cliff to see the result. Delilah pushed forward, leaving Magnus behind to get to the front. There was no movement for several beats, as everyone waited with bated breath for something to happen. David began to stir, weakly lifting himself up from his hands with his hands against the ground. Blood bathed the earth below him. He turned to look up to the crowd, who were horrified by his face, a crimson mask of blood. He saw King Crimson, wearing the smile of a proud father, or of a man who realizes that no one will ever question him again. You have all witnessed my son's divinity firsthand, and now you know that his existence represents our divinity, the physical manifestation of our claim over this world, but also doomsday for those of you who doubt. The onlookers watched as David's face healed from the damage of the fall. David focused on his father, who he learned that day didn't look at him with love. He looked at him as a tool, a way for the king to maintain his control over his subjects. This isn't something that David had respect for, but he knew that there was no way out for him, at least not until doomsday came. From that day forward, to the commune, David became known as Doomsday. Years passed. The commune splintered and shattered. Well, all that due to Crimson's desire for them to drink a drink that would showcase their full devotion to him. Well, that drink led them to their demise. Not David, though. Not Doomsday, for his day had yet to come. In the modern world, David saw Doomsday on the horizon. He saw many doubters and many who needed to be cleansed. What did the future hold? Well, until the day that David could die, it held doom. Could he do something to prevent it? Time will tell. Thanks a lot, David, and welcome to the PalsVerse.
Welcome. Great work, Sean.
Good stuff.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you to Amin for the kind word. The PalsVerse getting massive. That's the goal. That is the goal. Hopefully it continues to grow. James Jones said, and a new PalsVerse character was born, the Red Flag. That's to come. Mike Hank said, who's the cosmic gods of the PalsVerse?
Sean.
It's Olgren. We're partnering with PKJ.
Whoa.
No, DC, we are definitely not. We are definitely not doing that. It has nothing to do with your intellectual property.
An eyeball.
We haven't decided. We don't know yet, Mike. We have no idea.
Why don't you reach over here into my hot dog cart and you'll find Gunn.
Is that what they're calling it these
all-
days?
Yeah. What the,
Hey.
ugh.
But the answers are
The answers are what?
in the hot dog water. That's what he uses to tell visions.
There you go.
That's me drunkenly listening to Limp Bizkit to figure out where I'm going next in life.
I also want to thank Cameron Thornton, Steve Canaris, and joining also Brian Redmond, whose origins are all impending. Thank you guys for your support. It means the world to us. A little bit more business before we push things forward. Amin Perez says, any chance of a certain cult leader knowing of Doomsday? I would say there's a pretty good chance. I would say there's a pretty good chance. A story I would love to write, in fact. Something that I was thinking about a lot.
Do you have like a spreadsheet or like a flow chart or anything like that?
Nah.
Just all percolating up there in the brain soup?
Pinterest board.
Wow. No, I don't have a
Well,
Pinterest
he's
board.
not a 28-year-old white woman.
Oh God. All right. What was the business I was going to get to? Oh yes. This month's book club. This month's book club theme, the theme of everything we're doing here is superhero spooky month. What that means is that you guys were tasked with nominating books for spooky month, and we will be delivering a book club based on whatever book wins the poll that will be going up here shortly. And we'll be doing a book club on it on the 29th of this month. Oh wow. Halloween is on a Thursday. Wait, Halloween is on the 31st, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
I never know when
It is
holidays are.
It's the same time every year, Sean.
I never know. It's on Thursday.
yeah. I'm coming in costume.
Are you?
Yeah,
Oh,
What are you gonna
Oh,
be?
maybe I will too.
I'm an elf.
What kind? Keebler? Legolas?
Santa.
Like a Lord of the Rings esque.
Twink elf.
Yeah.
He's already that. That's barely a Halloween costume.
Well, that be that as it may, I will definitely not be dressed up. I'll be dressed up as Sean from the Comics Pals. So if that's intriguing to you, show up.
Can you just put on a cowboy hat and just be the LCS Sheriff for Halloween?
Oh, that's good.
Uh,
Look, I can be swayed. It would take a lot of chat motivation. It would take a lot of motivation on your guys' part to get me to do something like that, because I have always said I will not dress up for any reason.
He refuses to this day.
I did just get an ad for a New York Yankees fitted that had a cowboy brim, which I feel like is perfect for a New York LCS Sheriff.
Marco,
Yes.
slap a poll in the chat. Should Don dress up as the LCS sheriff for Halloween?
They're gonna
That or
say
Bean.
yes.
I want you to dress as your cousin. That could be fun too.
Oh, that's really good.
That's hard
It's
to pull off.
Yeah, you shouldn't dress up as real people like that. That's weird.
Yeah. That'd be like if I dressed up as like Kamala Harris or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dion Z says, catching the show live for the first time at 3 a.m. down here in Australia.
Oh.
Goated channel, goated discussion. I'm all in for the Comics Pals, I tell you. Hey, Dion, thank you so much. That is very kind of you. Appreciate it.
We seem to have a lot of listeners from Australia.
Australia.
Yeah, or at least some of the most active ones. I guess you guys don't like lurking over there.
Bunch of guys that won't goated bed.
Hey, I'll tell you, I have always been popular with Australians. When I was young, when I played World of Warcraft in my early teens, I had Australian friends. There were two girls in particular, and they were sisters, and those were my best friends in the world when I was 15. After that, I started playing with a whole like grouping of Australians. They were great people. I've always loved Australian people. So Dion Z, thank you for being here. I'm voting no, by the way, in this poll.
Pete Collins says, that's it. I'm drawing Sean the LCS Sheriff.
Oh my God.
Hell
dude.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. Don't do is that
Done.
gonna be is that that's like it's not the first. Is it the first fan art?
No.
Would that be? No, it wouldn't be.
No,
right?
no.
In the modern age, I think it would be.
Well,
but
Yeah.
Izzy's done miniatures, which is art.
that's true.
Sure.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And we don't have fan art. We have pal
Sinestro,
art.
wild. We have White Lantern Sinestro in the chat. It's Sinestro's first podcast, if you can believe it. They don't get podcasts on their rings. Can't do critical thinking anymore. Took me way too long to find this podcast. Can already tell it's a lot more chill and positive. Seems like YouTube has just been throwing me Red Lantern Rage channels since I got into comics, unfortunately.
So that show's talking about the Thinking Critical YouTube channel. I have a policy of not disparaging other people's YouTube channels unless they're of a certain grouping. But
Milk.
I understand why. I understand what you mean. I'm with you, and I welcome you here where everybody is welcome. I think this is a place where we have a lot of refugees from other YouTube channels of that same ilk. So thank you for joining us and welcome to the fold. Definitely safe here.
Pete says he's already starting on the art.
Oh my God. Oh,
Be the
no.
blueprint for your costume, dude.
What's in his holster? That's what I'm curious about.
If
The
I mean if we really do get art, I have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the motivation. I guess.
Obliged.
Done.
Oh my God, dude. Is that where we're going?
He has a instead of a gun, he has a lasso of truth. Dude, he has a lasso to wrangle the busters. He's watch out,
Hell
back
yeah.
here, back
I'm-
here.
You can hog tie them
Buster
in less than 30
lasso.
seconds.
I'm armed with my flags and my
Yep.
my lasso to rope in the busters. I've got a cowboy hat and a nice sheriff's badge on me. Hell
Done.
yeah.
It's done, man.
And as part of the community, you're all deputized. LCS. You need to also push this community the bounds of this.
You're not
Whoa.
deputizing anyone to go to police their shops.
That is we
Check for
cannot
voter ID.
One thing you definitely can't do on YouTube is incite a riot. We cannot deputize people to go to their LCS and wave all flags and lasso people up.
I also like how we're talking about how Sean is very clearly the sheriff, and Marco's like, "Yeah, we'll deputize everybody. We're all sheriffs."
Yeah, who the fuck are you? what, you don't have authority. You're not a sheriff.
My man doesn't even go to an LCS.
Yeah. What the yeah. Whoa. Whoa.
No more of those mail-in pull lists, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we only got to make sure they're buying them in stores. You need to count them.
If you can't right now pull out a physical copy of All In Special #1, you are not even eligible to be deputized by me. You have to have this.
You're showing the cover backwards.
No, what do you mean? Oh.
Wait,
Like this?
no, sorry. Flip it again. Oh shit, where's the back?
What the fuck, Tyler? Oh man, what the fuck is this podcast?
Love some
Oh,
physical
man.
prop comedy.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Sinestro says, understood, appreciate your welcome. I will just keep everything positive for show. Hey man, it's not even about, for me, it's not even about like only positive. It's just like baseline positive. Like the baseline is we love comics. Other channels' baseline isn't necessarily that they love channels or love comics. And that bothers me. Like Comics Explained or Comic Pop or Comics Are Dope. These are channels that love comics primarily. Near Mint Condition. Love those guys. Like that's the point. Love comics. You don't mean you can't be critical, but you should be loving them first.
Yeah.
Silhouette, you should never, bro. I know we're of the same ilk. You should never compare me to that person.
Listen, Whitey over here in the corner, I saw that and went, whoa.
You should never compare me to that person. You know better than that. What's up with you, man? My goodness.
I haven't even heard of that name in a while, man.
Comic Storian, Mike Hank. Yes, totally right. Comic Storian, 100%. One of the people who really put comics YouTube on the map for sure. All right. We have to wrap up the top 5 DC New 52 books. Marco has to deliver his final 2. So take it away.
My final 2 are, and I had this written down, JLD, specifically the Forever Evil pieces. That was my number 2. I love that as a team book. I came up on just reading the not from start, because I definitely didn't catch it at the beginning, but once I was on, I was hooked to the rest of it. I still have those floppies actually, and it was one of the things that just continued to push me into the DC ecosystem and the monthly grind of comics. And my number 1, it's got to be Swamp Thing, and in particular, Future's End. There was a Future's End Swamp Thing book by Charles Soule and oh my god, I just blanked on his name. But it detailed a whole usage of all of the different elementals and kingdoms of the Swamp Thing universe. So you had the red, you had the gray, you had Mycos, you had bacteria, you had the black, right? So like all of these were working in tandem to replace to replace one of the kingdoms, and even the machines were there at some point. And so I thought it was such a cool way to integrate the entirety of what that universe has built, what it was from previous eras past to the stuff that Charles Soule was doing in the moment. So I loved that book.
Was that Yannick Paquette on Swamp Thing?
No, that was after his stuff. I'll pull it up and then we keep going though.
That was Future's End, you said?
Yeah.
Man, we didn't have a lick of good to say about that event.
I know. It was Jesus Saiz.
Oh yeah.
That was it was a one-off and incredible. Highly recommend that book.
I've been sleeping on Swamp Thing.
How could you?
How could you?
I don't like to get smelly and dirty.
Gotta get in the mud, bro.
No, I don't want that.
Get in the muck hole.
Hey, yo.
Yuck. Well, more like yuck hole.
Ask Marco, it's more like yum hole.
Hey, yo. Big ol' yum. Don't yuck my yum.
I didn't. Michael Nadeau says, guys, you guys have made me laugh so much this stream. Thanks, y'all are making work go by faster. You're welcome. I'm happy we could do that for you, dude.
So the poll closed, and Sean, bad news. The chat is all in on that costume. We got 42 votes, which I have to say is more votes than we have ever had on a poll on the show.
I think so.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm not talking. I mean, in the chat.
Go on with your point.
The pals are all in on that costume.
You're the only dissenting vote.
97%.
Am I really the only person who voted no?
Yeah, one divided by the 40. Yeah, 42. Yep.
What the fuck, guys?
What chat? See you what chaps.
I thought we were here. I thought we were right here. Blood. I thought we were here.
They know what's best for you.
You told them you could. You told them they weren't deputized, and they said, "All right, you put on the costume then." Big hat motherfucker.
You know what? Since you guys want to be like that with me, you know how that makes me feel? You know what you guys are? You guys are walking red flags.
Damn.
Unbelievable.
Twirl it. He was going.
I don't have that capacity yet. I'm not an expert.
He's practicing though.
Unreal. Wow. All right. Well, just because you guys say that I should dress up as the LCS Sheriff doesn't mean that I will. You guys are going to have to really motivate me in order to get me to buy and wear a costume. That's nuts. Hendrik Perry says, like any good comic book story, we need a twist and a heel turn.
Well,
could happen.
No better story than when the sheriff turns bad.
Roboters, Sean, once you feel the power of the badge and dress up, you'll get all in on it.
The power of the badge.
It's powerful, dude.
No. I think that's the problem in New York City.
Neon Knight says, I'll be a deputy. You probably could be deputized, Neon. I could see that. Do you have a copy of All In Special #1? Do you have a Justice League membership badge? It's a pretty exclusive club.
Man, you're checking for ID at the... Man, this is getting bad. This is turning
be
into
asking
2020
for train
all over
fare
again.
soon.
Yeah.
Yup.
Oh, no, Kel.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy. All right, let's get into the news. So we talked earlier about DC, the film stuff, and how we're all excited about what's coming and everything else. Well, this is the first movie announcement that it's not even an announcement necessarily, but it does appear to be factual. This is the first one that I am. We'll say lukewarm on, I guess. So, according to the Hollywood Reporter, there is a live action film in the works in which Bane and Deathstroke will team up and cross over. What the fuck, DC?
Yeah.
I like this.
Of course you do.
Yeah, sure.
This feels like Hobbs and Shaw in the DC universe. These badasses that maybe like to do badass shit by themselves and kind of have their own way of going about things. But they need to team up for something. It's going to be begrudgingly, but it's going to be cool. And I think Bane and Deathstroke are characters that are a little more in the gray area. They're not always portrayed as full on like Joker-esque villains. There is some leeway morally for them to kind of play around with that. I'm down for this, especially if they have the right creatives behind it.
I don't know, man. This needs to be like Batman versus Bane or Batman versus Deathstroke. It feels if they're the leading things here, I don't need the perspective of a villain.
I think this is a tremendously bad idea. Like, wow. Like, does this? I don't know that this movie actually comes out because I can't even believe it. Like, there's so many things wrong with this idea. First of all, it's following the Sony trend of taking villains that are interesting, attached to, and juxtaposed with the hero that they're supposed to be attached to, and just separating them out. It hasn't really worked. It worked with Joker. Joker's the most popular villain in the history of Earth. And I mean, that's it. Like, it worked with Venom 1, but that was a fluke. It's not something that audiences are genuinely clamoring for. And again, Venom and Joker are two of the most popular villains that exist. Bane and Deathstroke are rungs down, and they're not that compelling outside of their respective villains or heroes.
I disagree. I find Deathstroke can be super compelling by himself, and Bane as well.
When have we seen Bane by himself? How do you know that?
I've read some of Gail Simone stuff. He kind of goes solo in some of the Secret Six, where he has kind of his own life and his own perspective on things, detached from Batman.
Okay.
Not to back him up, but the Deathstroke stuff, that followed his life inside the Teen Titans title was really interesting.
Yeah, but where did it happen? It happened in Teen Titans.
Yeah, but it wasn't surrounding the Teen Titans.
And Deathstroke by Priest is a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
And that deals with
Okay.
family drama. Ravager, his best friend / butler, his wife, and like this could be an easily like like it could be a revenge movie and a mercenary movie. Deathstroke kind of have maybe they have the same target, where Bane's trying to go for revenge because it's like the head of the gangs of Santa Prisca or something, but Deathstroke has a hit out for that guy, and they get in each other's way and they realize they have to team up. Like this could be a fun movie.
I think the issue with it is you could replace that with a random Bane-esque character or Deathstroke-esque character in the sense of it doesn't have to be these characters. You could just slap that as a movie, and that might function. I think Bane has a history and attachment to the Bat family in the same way that Deathstroke has an attachment to the Titans or the Bat family, and I think that's what makes the distinction of Deathstroke and Bane versus you have a bruiser and you have a mercenary and they go and after just using the example Tyler of they go after a similar target or individually they have their own characters. I think that functions alone and you don't need the added layer of Bane and Deathstroke.
I mean, Silhouette says I want a John Wick style Deathstroke film. Those movies do really well, and there have been other people trying to make similar ones. It was like the Jason Statham one recently was like The Beekeeper. John Wick is coming out with a new John Wick universe movie with the ballerina. Like there's an appetite for that type of stuff.
Not
I
for
want
nothing, Venom's got 3 films. Say what you want about them. They wouldn't make 3 of them if they were that bad.
Yeah, they would.
they
hell?
are.
They did. What the fuck?
I
Bad
mean,
in the sense of sales.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fact of the matter is, they're out there.
This is not something that has been confirmed by anybody of status at DC. So, whether or not this is absolute, it could be in question. I don't see this ever releasing. I have a hard time seeing how this factors into the larger point of DC's future films. But yeah, this is what Hollywood Reporter is saying. So remains to be seen. There's also word that we're getting a James Gunn comic book.
Huh.
Now, is that a comic book by James Gunn or is that a comic book about James Gunn?
I'll let you take a guess as to which you think it is.
In this economy, it could be either, to be honest.
James Gunn is rumored by Bleeding Cool to be writing a comic book. Now, this rumor spawned initially a couple weeks ago, where James was he was talking about gossip that he had heard. Or I'm sorry, James wasn't talking. Rich was talking. Rich Johnson was talking about gossip that he had heard about the idea that James Gunn could be writing a comic. And it came from Baltimore. I guess Baltimore Comic-Con. And the idea was that he would be writing a comic, and then Rich extrapolated from that and talked about how maybe it could be a Superman comic. And wouldn't it be nuts if he was drawing it alongside Jim, or if he was writing it with Jim Lee drawing it? So that pitch made the rounds on the internet, and it actually reached James Gunn himself. And he said, that sounds exhausting. I'm not doing that. Now, what he rejected was the exact specific pitch of him writing a Superman comic with Jim Lee drawing it. He didn't say, I am not and will not work on a comic at DC. So what Rich is now reporting is that what the comic book is, and when we'll get the info at New York Comic-Con, but that it is a Peacemaker comic co-written by James Gunn and Tim Seeley and drawn by Mitch Gerrits. And allegedly, it will be set between Peacemaker season 1 and 2.
With Vigilante too, right? Is that how I saw it was pitched?
Cool. I'm more interested in Gunn's film stuff at the moment. I mean, he can well play in the sandbox if he wants to, but that doesn't light me on fire as much as his movies. And the biggest draw here is actually outside of character, outside of James Gunn, outside of Seeley, is the potential of seeing Mitch Gerard's art. That's the only draw for me on this announcement.
Am I crazy, or is it a bit of a leap to go from he's doing a Superman comic with Jim Lee and saying and James saying no, that's not happening, to an in between seasons of Peacemaker comic with Mitch Gerrits?
The Superman angle wasn't Rich saying this is what I heard. It was Rich saying, wouldn't it be cool if this was what it was? He was only initially reporting that he had heard that there was a comic in the works. Now he's heard more information that is this.
I see.
This could be fun. I like James Gunn's writing, so it could be something more similar to like I love Slither. I love what's the Rainn Wilson one? Or superhero movie.
Oh, Super.
Yeah. Super. Yeah, it's just Super.
Yeah.
Like something like that. I mean, he writes Peacemaker, so like this could work, and maybe this can actually explain how Peacemaker transitions between eras of DC Studios. Because I don't know how they do that. Maybe it's Peacemaker in the multiverse somehow. Sure, maybe. But yeah, I don't. This could be fun.
I would, yeah. I mean, I would certainly buy it. And if James Gunn is doing this, making sure he has a co-writer is really smart. Because I don't think he has the time to do, even if it was a 3-issue mini, I don't think he has the time to do that. But if you pair him with someone who's a veteran of the industry like Tim Seeley is, and you let them sort of cook the idea together, maybe Tim Seeley writes the script and then James makes a pass at it, adds his zingers and zaggers or whatever, and you call it a day. And then Mitch Gerard's drawing it. I mean, that's a home run in terms of a comic that will sell. I don't think that there's anybody who has the voice of of what the modern Peacemaker is down more than James Gunn.
Shit, if the book announcement was just Tim Seeley and Mitch Gerard's on a Peacemaker book, like that's enough to get me in the door, honestly, as a comic book fan.
They'd probably never give Tim Seeley Mitch Gerard's though, without this.
Fair. They had to pry him away from whatever the next Maxi series Tom King is doing.
Yeah.
Philosopher King says we're in store for a lot of James Gunn content over the next few years. He's going to greenlight all his stuff. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And if he gets the accolades, like if this stuff does well, if it gets butts and seats and maybe, books off the shelves, they'll give him more ownership of that stuff. And that could only be a good thing because he's been such an advocate for comics that I don't see that as a negative.
Speaking of advocating for comics, Silhouette says, James, can you please just tell people to go buy Absolute Wonder Woman and New Gods instead of all this extra stuff? I always talk about James Gunn talks too much. I would love it if he talks about some comics more. Like get to talking about All In and Absolute and stuff like that. Put a video package out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Take advantage. You have this guy in your corner. You have the access of his reach, and we've seen it before. Superman Win of Tomorrow. He made mention of it. The book sold out. If you get those people to buy this as like a hype up, I wonder to what degree you can boost. Like, what is that incremental gain from James Gunn's voice and recommendation?
Well, and stop managing expectations for, the film side of things and actually boost what is out in the world.
Right.
I do feel like that'll probably happen once the rollout for Superman comes around. Like the only thing we've seen of him, seen with our eyes, is that announcement package they put out, which clearly referenced the comic books. And I think once they need to have people see things when Superman is being rolled out, which I can see maybe December, maybe getting some kind of teaser at this point. It could be that could be the time to do it. Did I read somewhere that DC plans on being next to 2025 to be like the year of Superman to really hype things up around him? I think I read that somewhere.
I'm not sure.
I don't have sources. Sources, trust me, bro.
But I feel like it'd be advantageous to be like, hey, I just picked up, Absolute #1, Absolute Wonder Woman #1, Absolute Superman #1. Here's a picture of me. Wow, what a great panel.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, James Gunn, I don't know his exact specific amount of followers on Instagram or Threads or wherever he likes to post, but certainly it's over 1 million. Certainly it's got to be, somewhere in the millions. If there was a picture of James Gunn holding his copy of All In, like, hey guys, I just finished reading DC All In special that I got from my local comic shop. This was awesome. If you want to see the characters and concepts that are leading in to the DC film universe to come, go to your local comic shop and pick up a copy of All In #1 and make sure you get Absolute blah, 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 blah. Here's a link to the local comic shop locator. That's all.
Also, Sean has deputized me, as a sheriff. So there you go.
James Gunn could be an LCS Sheriff, yes.
That's right.
If he showed me a picture of him with the All In special #1. Yeah.
I'm checking his threads right now. He almost has 1 million followers. He just tweeted about We 3 for some reason, or he just threaded about We 3. But he did stuff about comic books for Batman Day that he posted about. So
yeah,
nothing about All In though. So I agree. He should probably do something about that.
And Aaron Ruiz calling Kale out. James Gunn should talk about Absolute Superman. We need that bad boy #1, right, Kale?
I mean, listen, if he does that, it's just going to confuse, I hate to say it, but the dummies that are out there, they're going to see Absolute Superman. They're going to be like, this isn't the Superman I know. And they won't go see the film. So if he does that, it's just going to, mess up the whole thing. So I don't think he should do that.
I don't know, Kale. The way you're talking right now, it's kind of giving liar, and it's making me want to give you a red flag, dude.
You can give me a red flag all you want. Doesn't mean I'm wrong.
I think it does. It's pretty objective.
I don't think so.
It's pretty objective, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is cool. If it happens, I'm into the idea that this could be the case. James Gunn writing a comic. Why not? No, I got no problem with that. Mike Hanks says, you think James Gunn is reading recent comics? Now, whether he reads it or not is immaterial, right? Like, all he has to do is say, hey, I just got this comic, blah, blah, blah. And it could be totally just promotion. I would like to think he reads modern comics because he talked about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is a really recent book that he really enjoyed. So I like, not that he's a weekly reader, but I like the idea that James Gunn does read, comics that come out. So yeah, absolutely.
I just hit him up on Thread, so we'll see what he responds with.
Did you really?
Yeah, why not? Shot in the dark, right?
The comics pals. I watch Pals Pulls.
That would be amazing.
That'd be wild.
That's how he keeps up.
Yeah.
He only watches the book clubs, actually. He's on there, so I'm hoping he can. He was on there yesterday. Yeah, this dude is perpetually online.
Just gotta look at his DMs.
Well, I didn't DM him. I openly threaded him.
I
don't know what it's called over there. I only post our stuff on there.
Silhouette says he also called out Human Target and Shaded Adventures. Yeah, I mean, those are the books.
Yeah, just goes to show he only reads the Tom King stuff.
Yeah. It's his boy.
James Gunn, huge fan of Tom King's Wonder Woman run right now. Yeah, disagrees with Sean and Cal.
That's why he listens to the show. He likes the nuanced opinion.
You're muted, Sean.
Can't hear you, bud.
Oh, whoops, my bad. I committed the cardinal sin. Let's talk about Marvel just a little bit.
Who?
Marvel.
The other guy.
what we're a podcast about. Got it.
Yes. The Marvel Comics Pals. That is what we've been dubbed. No, let's talk about Marvel, who have announced that they will be telling us Xavier's secret in 2025. Forget Victoria. It's all about Xavier and his secret. Now, what is the secret of Xavier? I don't know. Like, how do you keep your head so shiny? That's
The secret is he's wearing lingerie underneath that suit.
Yeah, Egyptian cotton. That's really what it is. It's very breathable.
Egyptian cotton.
His whole suit, $60. The lingerie underneath, 5,000 pound.
Xavier also has a problem with the way women's bra sizes are measured.
They're not for him.
They're not universal either.
Unreal. So the actual book that we are getting is a reprint of, well, it's a first print, so technically not a reprint, but it is a printing of a story that has already been told. This is actually a story that is being told by Alex Packnadel. The artist is Diogenes Neves, Arthur, I'm sure I butchered that, Arthur Helsky, and Clayton Cowles. And it's essentially telling stories featuring Xavier. It's got Sally Floyd, who was like the journalist of Marvel Comics. She's the journalist that is in Civil War, looking into what went on with Xavier and what happened to him. And according to the solicit, it is going to show us sort of what happened in the margins between Krakoa and From the Ashes. Like, why did Jean make the decision to go to space? What's going on with Cyclops? What happened with Xavier? What were his true crimes? What all did he do to cause him to be, viewed the way that he now is? And the Bleeding Cool article suggests that it will also tell us why Magneto's in the wheelchair and not using his powers. But you could learn all this if you went and read the Infinity comic that Marvel is publishing already. It's all already there. It's going to be printed for the first time here in this What Did Xavier Do? Or Xavier's Secret.
Okay. Could read that for free, huh?
Do you have Marvel Unlimited?
I mooch off Kale, actually.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, not for free.
Luna says we are going to find out that he's not a mutant. Wouldn't that be something?
Wild.
Juggernaut's the biggest friend of mutants going. Now we learn Xavier's not even a mutant. Love it.
I agree here with Marek Oscuro. Yeah, where's Tom Mueller, man? Yo, get him back, because this. I took a look at this cover. I'm like, ooh, it's a little boring, a little bland.
Dude, I made this logo. This is not the actual logo.
No, I'm at the cover, the X-Men thing.
Yeah, the Xavier Secret. It makes it seem like the comic is called Xavier's Secret X-Men.
Yeah.
Which it is not. So that's a little odd.
And that's wildly more interesting than Xavier's Secret.
Yeah.
True, but then that, of course, would be a rehash back to Deadly Genesis, I think it was called. But, would it really be above them to rehash something?
So you're telling me a lot of the questions that we brought up in Pals Pulse for the past 2 months have been answered this whole time in the Infinite comic?
That is the angle. That is the angle that I was looking for. It's
yeah,
nuts.
I'm fishing for it because dancing around it because I'm trying to find like the right words to be like, what the fuck? Like, why not put that out into the world?
It also seemed like an actual storytelling device to purposely withhold this information from us in these books for it to have payout. But if they're undercutting that in a format that I don't, well, I do read digital, but I'm not reading the Infinite stuff. That's a big. Sean, where's the red flag?
I'll wave it gladly.
Yeah.
No, you're completely right. I mean, the books themselves, right? If you just read the From the Ashes books, they don't like, there's clearly something we don't know. There's clearly a gap, but they don't necessarily read as though, hey, there's something you don't know. It doesn't feel like the books are even trying to let us in on that fact. It's just what it is. It's like you missed an issue of something. And we sort of did.
Well, and nothing's pointing us there either.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, no, there's no issue anywhere that says, read the Xavier Secret Infinite comic.
Yeah, it doesn't point back to it, right? If that's where these details are in, there's no asterisk, there's no little editor's note. That would be helpful.
An editor's note. Dude, if you open an X-Men book right now, there's a double page spread in every single one that says, oh, hey, so-and-so, Stephanie Phillips, how'd you come across the X-Men? What was your first X-Men comic that you ever read? Blah, blah, blah. This here that I'm holding up right now. And it's totally disruptive to the experience of reading the comic and all that. But wouldn't this be a great place to say, hey, you should go read that Infinity comic that Alex Pagnadell's doing that will tell you everything you've been wondering about this whole era.
Hey, Stephanie Phillips, wouldn't the inspiration you got from Alex Pagnadell's super secret Marvel Infinite comic that is the impetus for this whole era, wouldn't that be a great thing for you to have read? And Stephanie Phillips could be like, yeah, we should really be directing our audiences there.
To knowledge, to context.
Like, what?
By the way, just in case you guys were curious, question of the month.
Go on.
Which X character do you feel the strongest connection to?
Cyclops.
Steph. Jean Grey. Yeah, we can answer. Yeah.
Nightcrawler.
Beast.
Okay. Well, for Stephanie Phillips, the answer is Jean Grey. For Murewa Ayodele, the writer of Storm, the answer is Nimrod.
Wave that flag, Sean. Where's the red flag? Wave it.
Oh, shit. I'm reading this for the first time. I didn't know what the answers would be. This is crazy as fuck. Tom Brevoort crashed out. He said, oh, no. I'm sure most people are going to expect me to say the Blob.
Yo, yeah.
Why would you bury yourself?
Laugh at himself.
In this, the year of our Lord, we're not fat shaming. And Tom Brevoort said, look, it's on me.
I can't believe that. Oh my God. His real answer is Cyclops, though, just in case you needed to know. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Wow. Tommy B. Yeah, I mean, I almost don't even want to buy this issue, this Xavier Secret, because I feel annoyed that I feel like this should have been out already.
It is.
And it technically is. Yeah, you're right.
And I just feel like if it were, all due respect to Pagnadell and team, if it were something that were actually worth it, it would be out and published and something. It would be in a place where we know about it.
Frankly, I'm worried that the answer is just not that interesting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm tempted to read up until whatever is out currently.
Yeah.
It also feels like we're not yet moving away in a meaningful way from the Krakoa stuff. It's still mentioned like after the Krakoa thing, here's some like leftover remnants that we want to get to, and like let's keep moving forward and look ahead as opposed to the secrets that need to be revealed or the things that we don't have context for. Because it also doesn't feel like it's going to materialize into anything meaningful down the road, especially if we're pivoting and doing more things with the characters.
Well, my issue with that, Marco, is just that they're about to do an event, a crossover, where Ultimate or Uncanny and like adjectiveless X-Men are going to go to war. So part of the impetus for that is a disagreement and a frustration that Cyclops and Rogue have with each other that seems to predate issue number 1 of each of these books. And there's the Xavier matter, and we don't know what the heck is going on with Magneto. So if those are critical bits leading into this war, we should know them. But we don't know them.
That's good drama.
Is it?
Well, I mean, that's the stuff that you want to show on the page.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Luna, the answer is he met another woman on a bench. He did, though. He did.
He did. He absolutely did.
I've been trying that lately. It doesn't work.
In Uncanny number 2, he literally did.
Yep.
So there you go. Brian Atkins says the X-Men that he's most connected to is Cyclops before they made him a psycho. Hey, Cyclops was right.
He was.
How dare you?
That's the Cyclops I relate to the most. Because I've been driven off that deep end.
The Cyclops who was right. Yes.
That's right.
Oh man. Yeah. I wish we had better things to talk about regarding Marvel right now. Like, believe it or not, this is not a DC podcast. This is not a podcast based around any particular company. There's just not anything to discuss when it comes to Marvel. If it's not an announcement about the umpteenth X book, there really isn't much happening to talk about. Like, they're debuting the Ultimate Guardians in Ultimates number 8. Okay, we can come on here and talk about that, but what are we going to say? Like, yeah, it's going to rock. Can't wait. That's it.
There's no real nuance to that discussion.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it on PalsVerse in a couple months anyway. So
Exactly. So whenever Marvel has big news to talk about, we will be the first people, to share all of that with you guys.
Well, as long as that news comes out on a Friday night, so you can, be awake on a Saturday morning and then get it from us.
Right, exactly. Otherwise, we can't guarantee.
We'll get to
anything.
it. We can get to it.
Last Young Renegade says meeting women on benches is more of a 60s thing anyway, Tyler. Well, what is the 2024 thing to do? Last Young Renegade. You're young, so you would have the info. What is the way to meet women now?
I think it's reading romantasy books.
Romantasy.
Romantic fantasy books.
Yeah.
Sarah J. Maas, those types of things.
Alexis
I've
Hall.
heard that term.
What?
Tilo says they're announcing the Doom event in NYCC with Ryan North. Probably right. And that's hype.
Cool.
And when they announce it, we will definitely talk about it for sure. No doubt about it. Speaking of which, the way I want to end this show is not with what is supposed to be the last news item. We can skip that. Tyler and I got to see Joker 2. So I thought we could chit-chatted about it a little bit. No spoilers. You don't have to worry about any particular item being spoiled. And it's not even going to be a long conversation. We're not trying to alienate anybody that hasn't seen it. But we thought, if you're curious what we think about it, we're not doing a full-scale review of it. So we could just use this space to talk a little bit about the movie. Last Young Renegade says, my colleagues meet women on LinkedIn, believe it or not. Oh, what?
That sounds
I thought that was
vile.
a job platform.
Thought so too.
I'm looking for my next step in my career life. I'm just going to put fire emojis under all that now.
A child.
Who knew? Wow.
Apparently, I've seen articles that are like, it's crazy on LinkedIn these days. I don't want any
It's
part
the
of it.
worst fucking website I've ever been
Stay
on.
away. Stay away.
I got on Twitter again before I got on LinkedIn.
Hendrik Perry says, would you call Joker 2 a musical? I like that. If you guys have questions about the movie, if you want to, sort of pick our brains to see if it's for you or whatever, feel free to ask. Tyler, what would you say to that?
Yes, but in the sense that the musical cues are when people can't really fully express their emotions. It kind of switches to a musical number. It's more musical, like magical realism, if anything. But yes, it's kind of a jukebox musical, if really.
La
Most
La
of the
Land.
songs. Yeah, yeah. La La Land's a much better film.
Sure.
But yes, it is a musical. Yeah.
I agree. And for me, I think that was the most frustrating part because I've seen a lot of people really, really ragging on this movie, like saying it's garbage, everything like that. I don't feel that way. I don't think it was garbage. I was frustrated by the musical elements because I thought that they were overdone. And it felt a lot like, hey, you guys liked when Joker danced in the first one? Let's batter your brains in with singing and dancing, even though you probably don't want this. But hey, it's the Joker. Love that Joker. And I was frustrated by that because there's a very interesting movie baked into all of that. There's something being said for sure. And if you can pull out those things out of the movie, which I don't feel like are that explicit, then maybe you'll find something there for you. But even to get to that, you have to go through the musicality, which is annoying and not very good. You have to go through sequences that are head scratching a lot of times. And a movie that definitely has a point, but I don't think it does. I don't think it necessarily understands how to get that point across to you.
I see the reason it's a musical, and it seems to be very meta in the sense that the main theme of the movie is trying to adhere to people's expectations of you and it really not really being you, or you having to come to terms with, maybe you're not that person. Whereas the movie has these expectations on it because of the critical success of Joker, that it being a musical then becomes a movie that people are not expecting or wanting in a way. Which I think the description of that is much more interesting than the actual execution of it. Because at the end of the day, I think this is just a boring movie, which is probably one of the worst things I could say about a movie. It just doesn't do much. It doesn't succeed at being a court procedural movie. It doesn't succeed at being a comic book movie. It doesn't succeed at being a crime or a musical movie. It tries to be so many things at once and fails to be any of them, which kind of sounds like the actual story of the movie too.
And it also like it feels like it takes everything that you liked about the first one and like takes it like kind of walks it back in a lot of ways, which I thought was really interesting but also odd. And it's hard to talk about that without getting into spoilers, but the first movie, here's an easy one. The first movie presents things to you that it doesn't let on aren't real until you learn that they're not. And that questioning that you have to do, then sort of you have to look back at the whole movie and go, wait a second, is he delusional the whole time? Is the moment where he kind of ascends at the end of the film where there's all that fire and everything, was that fake? Did that really happen? When you see him locked up again and he's sort of reflecting and your mind is supposed to go, was all that a fever dream? Did those things happen? This movie answers that question and then plays with that theme, but it doesn't even play with the theme. It just says that theme, that question is out the window. Now there is a clear delineation of what is real and what is not, and it makes the unreal feel unnecessary.
And Todd Phillips was said explicitly, like he added those scenes in this movie to solidify the first movie. And I think it was Matt Singer on a Screen Crush video that I watched talked about this movie feeling like an almost a prosecution of the first movie by the creatives, in the way that like they saw people enjoying Joker and liking the character, and then almost making a movie to be like, you shouldn't have done that. And I think Philosopher King says the film reminds me of Matrix Resurrections. Both feel like the filmmakers were forced to make them, so they punished the studio with a deliberate bomb. I don't think this was a deliberate bomb. I think there was a deliberate move to maybe show the first movie in a negative light, just in context of the second movie. But does it do it in an interesting way?
It's deconstructing itself.
Yeah.
And like I was interested in that. That to me was compelling. And it's like the Joker should be viewed through this sort of critical lens. The problem is that it's not the Joker. Like it's not. It's this world's twisted version of a character that exists outside of this place. And so because of that, it's an interesting reflection upon itself, but not upon the character, because that character is not in these movies.
Joker 1 is a Joker movie. Joker 2 is an Arthur Fleck movie. If that makes any sense.
I don't even think Joker 1 is a Joker movie. It's that specific universe's version of the Joker that doesn't feel like the comic book version at all.
Oh yeah, throw out the comic book version of any of these characters. You notice how we haven't talked about Harley at all. Kind of inconsequential and not really a representation of who she is in the comics in this movie. I think they did Lady Gaga bad in this.
And I thought Lady Gaga did her thing. Like in terms of her acting, I was never bothered by what she did. Every time she was on screen, I was excited. I just kept waiting for a big moment for her that doesn't quite come.
There's no real crescendo. It kind of is, and there's no buildup. It's kind of just baseline throughout. There's a big, the end gets a little crazy, but I wouldn't even call it a crescendo really. Kind of just is a mess. Like even in the trailers, a lot of I don't think this is a spoiler because I'm not going to be specific about things. But a lot of those cool shots of Gaga in the trailers, not in the movie.
Yeah, what was up with that?
The cool shots too. Like she is.
They had to get you to go see it.
I guess it almost seems like this thing was like chopped up in a really, really weird way. This movie did not screen to test audiences, and it almost feels like it's like video games now. It's almost like the purchasers of the tickets is the test audience, and maybe we'll get something different for like a director's cut for a home release or something. But it did feel edited strangely too.
Well, when you watch the movie, it's pretty clear why they wouldn't have wanted to screen it to test audiences.
Sure.
And that's because, without getting into any spoilers, the movie is very much meant to be a condemnation of the very same people who they would be screening it to. The movie is clearly a commentary on the spectacle nature of our current world. The first movie, is built around a guy who's potentially dealing with mental illness, a very personal story. And then the second movie takes that same guy and makes a spectacle out of him by putting him on trial and letting it become a dog and pony show. That is very much the audience in the court is us.
Yeah, it's almost as if Todd Phillips was like, "Hey, maybe I emboldened a whole bunch of incels with that first Joker movie. I'm gonna poke fun of them now." And again, I think what Sean and I are saying sounds interesting. Like as I'm hearing us talk about this, I feel like our discussion is more interesting than the movie.
It feels like you're saying it's like that isn't just, it's just not framed well and expressed well. Because you're right that when as you guys are saying that, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound that bad. But under the guise of musical might be a bit obtuse and obstructive.
I think you could do the musical part well too. I think it could work. And I mean, like Joaquin Phoenix has sang before. Was it Walk the Line? He did his own
Yeah,
singing,
yeah.
and he's not a bad, performer. Gaga actually said she had to unlearn how to sing for this movie, which you can tell a lot of her performance is not. It's not Bad Romance VMAs. It's a much more realistic performance of someone singing. So I think it could work, but none of it lands.
It's a shame.
Uncanny Suit says the nicest thing I could say about this movie is Hangover 2 is still the worst sequel Todd Phillips has made.
That's fair.
One thing I can certainly say without question in my mind is that Joker 1 was made to stand alone.
Sure.
This movie doesn't feel like there were remnant ideas or a clear path to a sequel that Phillips had that became this. It feels like he didn't have intentions of doing anything else. The movie blew up crazy, and it's like, well, how can I turn down the potential to make a sequel to a billion-dollar movie? Now, what is my idea? And they reflected upon the response to the movie and everything like that, and this is what they put out. And I don't think it was bad. I didn't come on here intending to trash it, but I certainly wouldn't say you gotta see it. Like, oh, you have to see it.
I would say, like, on the whole, like, I gave it my Letterboxd subtle plug. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, but I liked it. Does that make sense? Like, I liked I was interested in the experience of it. I enjoyed thinking about the movie maybe more than I enjoyed watching the movie. And I don't think it's a great movie. I don't know if I would recommend it, though. I've had a lot of people in my DMs being like, "Oh, should I see this movie?" I'm kind of wary about it now. I had tickets tonight, but now I'm not sure I want to go. And honestly, I don't think I can recommend the movie.
It does things that felt like they were deliberately not doing what we would want them to do.
Yep, which is like exactly how Arthur feels in the movie too. Like, so I see the point of what they're doing.
It's just hard to appreciate that. Like, it's hard to appreciate that when not doing what we want you to do, it makes something boring. Like, is it an artistic statement to force me to watch paint dry? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the artistic merit of that?
Is your review on this is that Joker 2 is high art?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The thinking about it is more interesting than the actual movie.
Yeah.
I also saw Megalopolis this week too, so movies has been, and creators and
bad week for
movies.
Tyler, huh?
I saw The Substance halfway through the week too, so The Substance might be one of my favorite movies this year. So it's been a good week because of The Substance, but it's been really interesting to see how, like, the idea of film and the creatives behind it can influence the film itself. Yeah, weird one. It's a weird one, Joker 2.
Famous Thanos says late to the stream, but didn't Phillips say when the first one came out that this was never the Joker? Could be misremembering though. I mean, that was a while ago. I don't remember exactly what the verbiage was. And I don't want to talk about that too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But it's very easy for me to believe that is true based on the trajectory of this movie.
If that is a question you're coming up with, Famous Thanos, which cool to see you in the live chat. I don't think I've seen you in a live chat, but I've seen you in the comments before because that fucking Joker profile picture. I think if that's a question you have, maybe check this movie out if that's something that you're interested in. But also maybe check it out in a month when it's on Max too. Like, I don't think you need to rush to the theater for this one. I mean, it's
all the stuff you guys are saying about how it doesn't feel like it needed to exist, with the fact that it was a Joker 2 or that he didn't have ideas specifically, that the Joker was supposed to be a standalone thing. Like, as I recall, the big discussion was that, like, around the time of Ant-Man 2 was when he was like, I'm pissed off that there are 2 Ant-Man movies, but there's no Joker. Like, this is ridiculous. And so the fact that he would want to make something that would sort of feed into that superhero machine, you know, to a certain degree. Like, it makes sense that, you know, with that kernel uh being you know, the impetus for the Joker, he would not deliberately torch it, you know, a joke or two, but deliberately make something that was obtuse and had like uh commentary about audiences, and, you know, something that was more difficult. You know, it makes a lot of sense that he would do something like that for a sequel.
In a lot of ways, when the movie ended, the audience that I was with seemed confused. It was an awkward finish. There wasn't clapping necessarily. It was more like muttering. And it kind of felt like Todd Phillips took the mic, dropped it at the end, and then flicked us off.
Yeah. I remember when the movie ended and the credits rolled. I heard a guy behind me go, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. And I wasn't mad at it. Like, I've seen people taking
Yeah.
that real personally. I wasn't mad at it, but it definitely don't seem like Todd Phillips likes or appreciates anything that has to do with DC.
You know, the Joker is just another crime movie. It's a Scorsese, it's a diet Scorsese movie to him. But like I said, Sean, like, I can still appreciate I can appreciate this movie, but I don't have to enjoy it. Does that? It's a weird one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you for sure. I'm not fully sure I'm like where I come down either. But I think I would watch it again.
I would say, out of all the comic book movies I've seen in a long time, this one is. I've been thinking about it since I saw it. It was not a go in there, see the movie, enjoy it, go out, probably never think about it again. Like, I'm still thinking about it. So take that for what you will.
Is it a comic book movie?
In the most rudimentary sense, maybe.
In that the two characters are from comic books?
That's
Literally.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. This movie could have been called. It could have been called Uptown. You know, it could have been called anything. It doesn't matter who the characters are. Joker,
Boy.
Charlie, Harley
Sure.
Quinn, Amy. It doesn't matter. There is no representation of their comic book counterparts in this film.
Harley Quinn, do you mean Lee?
Lee, right? Yeah. Awful. Let's hit a few comments before we get out of here. JetX says, in my theater, everyone rushed out from the theater. I don't think anyone in there enjoyed their time. It would be hard to imagine how they could have. My theater was gaga'd up. There were so many people there who they came for her, clearly.
I wore my Gaga shirt to my screening.
To the point where when they showed the trailer for Wicked, the theater erupted. And it's like, that's how I know the crowd that I am in. And those same people were dead silent throughout the entire movie. And when it ended, they just got up and walked away.
What was that crowd like during the musical parts?
That's a good question.
Silent.
Huh.
But did people enjoy those segments?
What do you expect a crowd
Could
to
you
be
tell?
during
Yeah.
a musical part, though? You want them singing along?
Well, I mean, like, you know, you're there. Okay, right. You're there in your Gaga shirt and you're Gaga'd up for your pop star that's going to be in this big movie, right? Like, I don't know.
It's like their Errors tour.
Maybe. You know?
The only part that I can't even talk about the part, but there was a part that people popped for, but it was more because it was funny, but not. I don't think it was intended to be funny. We were in our own world at that particular moment, making our own jokes and stuff.
Yeah, and I look back at this movie and I can't really pinpoint any individual parts that jump out to me.
Tyler, remember the part where Joker and Harley are alone and they do something happens?
Sure. Yeah.
That was the part that my theater was like having a lot of fun with.
They do something that Marco would have left the show for. Yeah.
Luna asked if the movie feels like it cost 200 million. Hell no.
No, and apparently it's making Morbius numbers right now.
20 million went to Joaquin.
Damn. Yeah, the actors alone, right? For sure. That's where the budget got to go.
And 200 million is not the real number for the budget. I always double them. The budget is probably a lot higher than what is being reported. And it's unfortunate because there's no way this movie's going to make what it needs to make. It ain't making a Billy. I'll tell you that. That's not happening.
Flo Dameron says the Joker 2 was the jokes we made along the way.
The 2 jokes we made along the way.
Yeah,
there weren't two jokes in this movie.
Hendrik Perry says there is a movie that is 10 hours of paint drying. It was made in protest of the British Board of Film Classification because their raters had to watch all 10 hours. So there is art in watching paint dry. Okay, I believe it.
The art is the intent.
Right.
It's very
Alex Clark Simple says, I've seen people online talk a lot about how they don't like the musical bits, but I'm not sure if I can trust reviews from people looking specifically for superhero / comic book type movies on a musical. Dude, look, that is very fair. But I'll tell you this. I love Grease, right? Grease, the movie, is probably floating somewhere in my top 50 all-time movie, right? It's an awesome film. I'm not inherently opposed to musicality in movies. I just feel like it, and there is a point to it, as Tyler was illuminating earlier. There is a point to the music, but that doesn't make it feel. That doesn't mean it doesn't feel out of place. At least to me, it took away from what I was compelled by. Like the first movie, I don't know if you guys have listened to the soundtrack. That is one of the best soundtracks for a movie that I've heard in a long time. I love Hildur. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She makes great music, and they turned her shit way back in this film.
Yeah,
the soundtrack for this movie that she put out is awesome, but you barely hear it.
There's one scene in this movie that is a recreation of one of the big scenes in Joker 1 that gives us a little more context to it. It like continues the scene further than what we've seen. And Alex Clark, as somebody who is a musical fan, like I'm a big Busby Berkeley guy. I don't think this succeeds as one either. I think there's some really cool sets here that will probably look great in a screenshot or like a still from the movie, but don't really lend itself to what this movie is.
Yeah.
But even a superhero fan knows what, knows what they like, knows what feels good, in a film. And if you liked it or not.
It looked good. Like there was a point, like I said, but I don't know. Let's see. Boss Rondier, hey, what's up? The Living Blade himself. Maybe I missed it, but did you guys like the first Joker movie? I loved it.
I really enjoy it.
What?
Going.
What? You guys are awful people. You like the first Joker movie?
Incel fucks. How dare you?
Red flag. Where's the red flag?
I watched
two
illegally.
red flags for the both of us, Tyler.
I watched it illegally from a Pirate Bay link I found on 4chan.
That's better.
Yeah.
I paid to go, and I got yelled at for liking it by you guys know who I'm talking about. That was weird.
Well,
Hey, let me be clear. It wasn't me or Marco.
I was hesitant about its need to exist before it came out, but once I saw the movie, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
On musicals, you like Grease too?
Nah, man. No, I've seen it multiple times. I didn't like it.
Speaking of Grease,
okay.
Grease Lightning makes all the girls what exactly?
Scream. I asked my high school musical teacher.
Oh boy. Whoa, DV. I almost don't even know how to read what you said, man. But I'm gonna try. Are you implying that this Joker is like Smallville Jimmy Olsen? Well, Smallville Jimmy Olsen gets killed, and at the funeral, it turns out Jimmy is his middle name, and he has a younger Jimmy brother who will inherit the mantle of Jimmy Olsen. Is there a younger Joker ready to fall in chemicals? Go watch the movie. That was a long road. I understood it ultimately, but I would say to answer your question, go watch the movie. Any other questions? Any
Just
other
off,
questions?
just off the back of that, now I'm imagining like a music theater major who falls into a vat of chemicals.
I'm imagining Stars, the musical number from Les Mis, as he falls into a vat of chemicals instead.
I haven't seen Les Mis. All right. That's where we're going to leave it. The next time that we will be live with you is this Thursday for Pals Pulls. And you guys know that this Thursday or this Wednesday is Absolute Batman's release date. That is a huge, huge, monumental release. Can't wait to see it, or read it rather, see it. And we'll be here to review it on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
What do you know? What else we're definitely talking about?
Yep, I will share that with you right now. We'll be talking about Absolute Batman #1, Action Comics number 1070, Batman and Robin number 14, Green Lantern Civil Corps Special #1. I'm really excited for that.
Just a lot of paperwork.
Huh.
And The Ultimates #5.
No mainline Marvel stuff.
Ah,
Be a great topic for
Marvel,
next week's episode.
can't believe it. This Marvel podcast can get us to shut up about Marvel.
Are you more excited for Absolute Batman or more Ultimates?
Ultimates.
Ultimates.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh damn, okay.
We've had Batman from Scott Snyder before. I'm
That's
sorry.
True. That's true.
Like if
got it
he
at home.
shows up and makes it great, cool. But Ultimates is doing that hot shit.
Yeah, more is needed from y'all.
Yeah, Dragotta is the pull for me with Absolute Batman for sure.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I'm majorly excited for Absolute Batman, but there's just nothing that is even on the horizon that's more exciting to me than Ultimates. Every month. It's unbeatable for me. Does Batman show up, says Aaron Ruiz? I mean, I don't think they've been pretty explicit about that not being a thing that would ever happen. So I don't feel like it's a spoiler to tell you that. No.
Boss Red Deer says, can't wait for Absolute Unit #1.
I want to see the covers you guys get. Hit the Discord up. Show your covers. If you get an incentive variant, please show it so that I can be publicly jealous of you. Well, I might get one myself, but let's see what we do.
Is there a cover you are looking for specifically, Sean?
There's a great Dan Panosian cover that I want.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one's pretty sick. And then Mitch Gerrits, I want to say, did a really awesome cover for this as well.
What about the New York Comic Con 2024 exclusive cover by Frank Miller?
Sick.
Okay.
What's
Sick.
that cover?
I seen it. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Frank
I'll
Miller
get it.
has a pose. All his characters hit right now.
Yeah. Yep,
There's a Naruto running.
Special.
Everything is Naruto running.
Yeah.
Pete Collins says, the next time you see LCS Sheriff Sean will be this afternoon in the Discord. This is Pete's Mona Lisa.
Today, Pete, you're dropping that? Oh, my
Wow.
goodness. You guys need to hit the Discord. If you're not on our Discord server, you need to click the link in the video so that you can join us because that needs to be seen.
I got you.
That needs to be seen. Yeah, Philosopher King makes a good point. Bruce Wayne is still a child in the Joker stuff. But yeah, Marco just shared a link to the Discord. We will see you there. We will see you on Thursday for Pals Pulls. Come hang out. Make sure you guys are a part of it. It's going to be a huge episode. We can't wait. Until next time, take care of yourselves.